That's it, right? That's okay. Council for 2026. Did I get your roll call? No. Here. Shackle. Here. Lovely. Here. Bishop. Yes. Keel. Here. Here. All right, can I get a pledge of allegiance, please? Pledge of allegiance. Already and get that. Don't do not have that. That's technically nuts. So would actually like to point to ISB's already from him, Mr. Jason Jones. Thank you. No time to be absent, I'll keep it short, and sweet, but I'm welcome very much in this position. It was actually starting day, so quite eventful for them. Things going on, so I look forward to proceed on and the good things going on in the community and do the right thing. So appreciate it. Thank you, Jason. And the next motion would be citing an acceptance of a letter of resignation from President Miller. We'll make a motion. We use that. Second, please. All right. And can we get a vote? Can we get a roll call, please? Yeah. Edwards. Yeah. Ludwig. Woodruff. Shackle. Yes. Emo. Yeah. So I need at this point, I need a motion to open hearing for the MSHDA and the CVB grant.
Make a motion to stop the hearing, MSHDA and the city. Okay.
All right, I would like at this point. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I get a vote? All in favor? All right, I would like to open this public hearing with the gentleman from Redstone at 7:02 p.m.
I'm not the gentleman from Redstone, but Redstone for here now. The purpose of tonight's public forum is to talk about the application process for applying for the grant. As you know, that we've been working with Redstone and trying to develop property on M18 across the street from there. Currently, there's a fruit plant and a manufacturing that and we are going to continue to work along that process. And but tonight again, the purpose is to talk about the grant application as a man is going to explain it all played a vital role and the boss and keeping things in control. If we could get this grant be successful, grant it would be a huge start for the village over against the dark board is keep as all the places of the problem so right. So the grant application has been very good. Right? I'll let a man explain more of that grant application.
So I will have the kind of points on the grant. And we're also putting the public notice. So the grant is for 32 units, just what is stated one, and that was what was initially approved by the planning commission. And the conditions are related to permitting, which comes later in the process. And so there'd be revisits to fulfill those permits when they're applicable in the process. So the project for units, 24 apartments for rent and 8 are townhomes for rent. 17 of those units will be reserved for 80% area median income and below. And just to give you an idea of the area of median income for our area is defined by the state, and for our county is $45,000 for one person and $52,000 for 2 people. So we're looking at this project as being targeted essentially those reserved units for kind of referred to as missing middles. These are, you know, our teachers, police, fire, factory workers, those types of individuals. This grant supports and essentially supporting those units to be reserved at some lower than market rate for new units. 15 are at those market rates. You can read those market rates, which is from the pro forma and the 80% units. So what's projected in the pro forma right now is the 80% AMI units and below, which is for the MSHDA. It's at the MSHDA, if I call it MSHDA, that's what that is, the Michigan State Housing Authority, Development Authority. So those, the efficiency is at 975. The 1 bedroom's at 1,037. The 2 bedrooms at 1,217. And again, those are in alignment with the MSHDA tables. The markets that are in there are the studio at 1,550, 1 bedroom at 1,800, 2 bedrooms at 2,100, and 3 bedrooms at 2,400. And keep in mind, those also include those townhomes, which are the 3-bed, 2-bath. So, what else around the particular grant application? So, some of the things they have to note in the grant application, which is in the public notice, is the alignment with our master plan. And so in the master plan, the survey that was done specifically, it talks about attracting the workforce to the village, which is our top rated economic development concept by residents, with over 55% of residents rating it as very important or most important. Residents also in the master plan rated available housing, which was 50.53% of respondents, as well as affordable housing, which is 40% of the respondents, as the top 2 most serious issues in the village of Roscommon. This project is targeted to help address that. The objective A under your residential development in the master plan is say provide for a wide variety of quality residential housing options for all ages and income levels in a safe and attractive walkable neighborhoods. In addition to exploring a specific point in there, explore and implement rental housing programs which ensure high safety standards are maintained in single and multifamily rental housing. So this project in this grant phase being targeted towards that specific rental program to support multifamily rental housing and quality development. Additionally, there were some housing studies done in 2024 and 2025, which both describe the gaps in our housing in our area. And so this was an opportunity to address what I referred to before as those workforce housing and missing middle segments. And so this project that was specifically, or the project type specifically noted in that housing study are garden style apartments or townhome style units, which is exactly what this phase 1 is targeted towards. And this says targeted for single couples and small families, incomes between $35,000 and $100,000. The additional primary recommendation of the study included home ownership options for moderate income, higher income households, such as single family and duplex structured with a detached garage, targeted for couples and small families with targeted incomes of $60,000 to $150,000, as well as senior-oriented single-story townhome or duplex style units for sale or lease, especially storage and garages or multi-unit condominiums for lease or sale, targeting incomes of $40,000 to $120,000. So when you look at the whole site plan beyond the grant phase 1, it also addresses those other recommendations, which were the top 3 targeted recommendations from that housing study that was done independently by a housing firm. In 2025, that full national research study was another one for the county, and it described the gap of between 2024 and 2029 of 1,275 units in our area. 435 of those are rental housing category, which again, this first phase of the grant is seeking to address, and 840 would be for sale units. Of the 10 multifamily apartment properties surveyed at that point across 199 units, all the units were 100% occupied, all project types had wait lists, speaking to the gap in housing that we have in the area. So for planning commission, the shaded portion is approved for our zoning ordinance and conditionally approved for those permitting that I described that are in their meeting minutes. As of the latest update, February 18th, the first update for this, which is in the mixed use development district, and applied with the mixed uses type. And there, which is a permitted use, was approved in October of 2025. And then there would be additional follow-ups with the planning commission, both for those permitting as well as in sessions and sort of change the project type into more of that formal condominium, which there's a subsection in the planning zoning ordinance that we need to go through that as well for follow-up on that with some more specific requirements. It's all part of the development of this development itself, and making sure that all of those hurdles are crossed. And paperwork is gone through, so that is still going. That part is still going to be underway. And then the other part, if there is any later change to a planned unit development, which has certain specific requirements at this point, it does say in the February meeting minutes that the planned unit development, there's nothing specific that has been presented that is in alignment with that versus the standard permitted use at this point. But there would be, if we determine that that needs to happen, also need to go through that public planning commission process for public hearing and additional documentation. I just wanted to make everyone aware of that and where we're at that process. And those site plans get approved by planning commission for your zoning ordinance. Other things, I think we hit the Michigan grant scope, just to go back to that, is to support the infrastructure of this property, which has been owned by the village for about 26 years, all in total. So there's no infrastructure out there. There's nothing generating any tax revenue on it. There is a need to install water, sewer, a lift station, stormwater retention, roads, sidewalks, driveways, development access, parking areas. So this grant program is to specifically help fund those items as eligible activities under the grant for the purpose of creating housing. And so the housing is all kind of wrapped up for that first phase that we talked about, those 32 units in this grant funding. I think that's all I had specific around the grant itself. So I'll let David go his Redstone. He'll be able to talk more about this. And then if you want to hear it, you don't have time to cite to it. If you wanted to talk a little bit about a couple items there.
My name is David Sevens, Vice President of Redstone, and also one of the pre-owners of Redstone over in Michigan. We're hoping to have all three of us here tonight. Got Frank Brownlee, raise your hand, Frank. Also one of the owners of Redstone over in Michigan, and then Gary Tench, who's the founding founder of Redstone in general. And he called me here about 20 minutes ago and had a personal situation come up, and wasn't able to be online. So he gave me his speech, and I'm going to just kind of read through that. So I'm going through this kind of in a time with you all. So this is from Gary. Redstone is a vertically integrated real estate company that has been in business since May 15, 1997, which is 29 years, solely focused on developing housing for West Michigan. Redstone's portfolio includes master plan communities with condominiums, single-family homes, townhomes, apartments, and senior housing. Since our inception, Redstone has developed more than 3,000 home units with a total capitalized value of $850 million. Redstone is very good at land development and building all product classes of residential housing. Experts in Michigan condominium management and law, and working diligently to become experts in senior housing challenges and needs. Workforce housing is a challenge, but the need for senior housing is greater. Experts in the industry are predicting that by the year 2031, half of all seniors looking for housing within independent living, assisted living, or memory support facilities will not find such facilities. Redstone is working on affordable, small, high-tech, pod-type facilities, which is geared towards smaller communities. Creekside Meadows site includes 6 different residential projects, one of which is a senior care facility. Recently, we have expanded to northern and central Michigan, where significant challenges exist for workforce housing. On July 18, 2023, the Brownfield Redevelopment Financing Act is enacted in the state of Michigan, allowing residential
housing projects to be eligible properties for tax increment financing. Increment tip. Since that time, Redstone has signed one brownfield plan development agreement with Lakeview, Michigan. Both has signed the second agreement in Coldwater, Michigan, and working on one in Manistee, Michigan. Don't dwell on legal speak relative to TIP. In simple language, they accomplished the following. Developer / builder will build residential housing in a community that normally they would never do because of the significant risk, land and infrastructure costs, and lack of available comparable products that would make a lender / investor comfortable with the project. TIP alleviates some of those risks and is a form of deferring profitability to a developer / builder. The developer builder will assume a higher risk level of risk in a market that is not proven that it can support new housing product. The bottom line is that the developer builder goal is to keep the prices of the homes for sale as low as possible to cover overhead and do the same with rents. It's all about the velocity of selling homes, renting apartments as affordable as possible, and get into the TIP income stream, which is a property tax rebate. We appreciate your consideration and time this evening. Support Creekside Meadows, which Amanda, Ron, Jim, and other village staff and volunteers and consultants in Redstone have been working on for over a year to bring a very diversified housing community to this village area. So now I'll put on my land development hat. That's kind of my role with Redstone is land development. And I know some of you probably have heard this story, but there's a lot of people here, so I'll just kind of repeat it a bit. We came into by accident. We thought we had to come here to get a building permit for out at Forest Dunes, which wasn't the case. But that's where we met Ron and Jim, and they had the old core board sitting, up on the easel. We're like, they said, well, you don't belong here. And I'm like, well, okay, so what's this? So they told me about the property in M18, and things kind of just evolved from there. So we weren't looking for it. We didn't come asking for it, but it kind of fell in our lap when we accidentally stopped getting to the village hall here. So it's kind of it's kind of an interesting story. But I will say that Ron, Jim, and Amanda, they've just been super to work with. They helped us so much through this whole process. Just can't thank them enough for all that they've done for us to work through this. So we're happy that we're here tonight and in front of you, and we certainly appreciate your time. And hopefully you'll see the what this community can do. So what I'd like to do is I'll just quickly go through the whole development and then kind of focus on what phase 1 is. Which is part of the grant. So I'll just real kind of quickly. Sorry, I'm sure I'm going to be in the way for some people, but so here's our main entrance off, coming straight across Squire. So we've been considering that the main entrance into the subdivision. As you come in, this area here, there will be townhomes for rent. These units are 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, 2-stall garage. So they all have their own 2-stall garages. As you come further in the site, you break off with a side road, and we've got 3 12-unit garden apartment buildings for a total of 36. As you go back into the site, and this plan, I guess, really doesn't show up, but we're looking at a senior care facility in this location and a hotel up in this area. And one thing I want to mention is, and I know Amanda mentioned that you had your kind of a housing study done. And after we met with Ron and Jim the first time, they said, hey, we got a housing study, and said, hey, send it, we want to look at it. So we went through the housing study and looked at all of the needs that housing study showed. And again, it showed, the different housing types that were needed, the different rental types were needed. They also talked about senior housing and transit housing, which is the hotel. And I'll say that during one of our meetings with the Michigan people, there was we were presenting the site plan to one of the initiative representatives. And he looked at this and he said, you know, I've never seen a site plan with so many different housing options. Because this is unbelievable. I've never seen this before. Because I am taking this to Michigan and telling them all of what's involved with this plan. And so he was really excited about that, which obviously made us feel good that, you know, we were hitting all the targets that the healthcare report had in that report. So as we come down the road, you'll see kind of single family homes kind of along the backside of the property, which you have then the creek that runs through here, so the nice views into the woods. Across the street we have townhomes for sale, and those are 3-unit buildings. And again, those are 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath with installed garage. The difference, you know, kind of between the rentals are 1,500 square feet. The ones for the units, townhomes for sale are 1,804 square feet, so a little bit larger, a little bit more room. And then we finish off the rest of the area with a duplex unit, which is roughly 1,700 square feet. Again, 2 to 3 bedrooms, 2-stall garage. So all of the units for sale or rental other than the garden apartments all have their own 2-stall garages. And then kind of we wrap up on the backside. We have storage unit facilities, which the focus for those are going to be for the residents. Keep in mind that a lot of people that are moving to these could be downsizing. My wife and I just did that. We moved from a home of 18 years to downsize into a condominium, and we got a lot of stuff over. So obviously we got to rent storage unit, but that's the idea of this is that, you know, it frees up your garage, you know, so you can park the cars inside. And so we have the units there, just like the 128 units, I believe there. So that's the purpose of that is the focus is for the residency community. So that covers the vast majority of it. So our phase 1 that we're looking at for the grant is coming in. The road would end at this location here, and this location right here that's shaded. So we're looking at these 2 12-unit apartment buildings and these 2 4-unit townhome for rent buildings. So that will be the first phase and what's included in the grant. So with that, I guess I'll let whoever else wants to talk.
Cool. Jared's not on, so I think that's about what we have for that. Just to let you know about the grant and the site.
Yeah, I'm going to open this up to a question. I'm going to start with the council, if that's okay, if that works for you. But,
I'm just curious on what is going to be the very first thing built from that site plan, not including what the grant's covering, but what is the first thing being built?
So, yeah, so I mean, actually, you know, the first thing would be, you know, these 2 buildings and these 2 apartments. But from there, then I would say then phase 2, we're probably bring it all the way to this point here. So we're picking up our goal is to get as many different products, you know, available as every that's we're getting a broader market. So probably try to finish up the duplex for rent. We'll start picking up, you know, about half of the duplex for sale, and we pick up this kind of first section of single family homes.
So when would the storage units?
The storage units will probably, again, those are, you know, probably phases. So we'll probably, you know, do 1 or 2 buildings to start, and we'll do that after we get out of the grant phase.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Dale, last step, what you're talking about?
well, and we took those comments into consideration.
Yeah, well, last Thursday, 4 of us, 3 council members, had that were online with few people.
Yep.
And we didn't know what's the selling price of the property, and we didn't know. Nobody here knew. And so your people down in Grand Rapids, I assume.
We're done for.
Yeah, they said the same story that you came in here by accident. And Ron said, we have 40 acres, we'll sell you for $1. And that's supposedly the selling price. I don't know. I mean, this is what I heard last week. Now, I've also been told here that you want to build those storage barns to make money. And I think they said that last week too. They want to build those storage barns.
We want to make money on everything.
Yeah, but no storage barns separately to make money.
Yeah, you know, you're right. I mean, we did say that on that meeting. I was there. I was probably the one doing all the talk. So the initial idea was is that we would build those along with the first phase and get them rented out so we could have some income coming in. You know, we had the conversation with you guys. I know you expressed some concerns. And so we thought, you know what, it's just easier for us to get through the grant part of it. Because there are guidelines and restrictions that we have to follow with the grant. So that our thoughts are is, you know what, let's not make this complicated. And let's, you know, cut out the question now, you know, we're doing. So we just do straight the first phase as a grant of the 4 buildings that I pointed out. And then when we get out of the grant kind of guidelines, then we'll move into the second phase and we'll probably look at, you know, building some of those so we can start getting those available for residents in the community.
Now the buildings, someone in the industrial park, he said when he bought his first house, he couldn't get the loan unless it was for his primary residence. So he couldn't buy the house and then sublet it on weekends. We call short-term rental, short-term rental. You know, and there's a big war going on at Beacon Lake right now. You know, they just has an ordinance supposed to take effect that there'll be no more of those, or there's a lot more restrictions on. You know, and that's why I'm wondering about this. Will this be will there be short-term rentals, or will they do?
No, on whatever ordinance you guys have in place around short-term rentals.
Well, that's what I was saying. You know, towns hasn't been too involved in town, and so we don't have, I don't even think we have. And I'm actually.
Jurisdiction to have it.
Yeah, they are.
Great.
We don't currently have an ordinance, so yeah,
We don't have it, and so to be grandfathered in when you come in, see, there are questions that I can't answer. I'm not good at answering them.
We were trying to generate a short-term rental,
Yeah,
ordinance, talk to Garrett's Township, or even talk to others, you know.
No, I mean, almost something I think we need to look at in town. From a developer view, I would say, yes, do that, please. Because that helps us out too.
I'm not against housing.
Yeah, some people are.
I've been in the newspaper business since, and so I ask a lot of questions. I gotta know the answers. And so that's why I'm asking. I'm not opposed to housing. We have 3. Well, actually, we have four complexes in this village, and I printed the contract for all of them through the years, and none of them have storage blocks, except down at the condominiums down here. They have garages. I mean, we counted them today. They have 25 garages, but these others they don't have. And they have nothing. People park the car in the parking lot. So so that's I'm just trying to ask these questions. Because I'm always looking for that unknown. Because I experiences in my own life. Everything looked good. All of a sudden,
Right. I'll say, I mean, our goal is, because it's what it was when the first time I met Ron was we need workforce housing. So that's our whole goal here. We can build a multifamily, whether it's a 3 unit townhome or a duplex, we can build those cheaper than just a standalone home. So that's where your affordability comes from. And so that's our goal, is to provide workforce housing. If you don't have any ordinance on short-term rental, I'm sure some of these will become short-term rental. So that's why I say if you come up with the ordinances, that's good for us, because this community is not being planned for short-term rental we want people to live here. That's why we've offered storage facilities, so they can move their stuff and it's not filling up their garage and their cars have to park outside, things like that.
So
So
there's about 2,000 storage cars between the village and Pioneer Hill going out. There's Scott's out there, and then you go out across the 244 exit, and there's, I don't, there's gotta be at least 1,000 in there. They're all individual,
right,
and so that, you know, and there's townships already passing ordinance. And I've got one on the agenda, pass ordinances prohibiting storage
sure,
because they don't do much for us.
right.
There, you know, the way I see the, you know, the storage units, I'm familiar with some development areas, my son lives in one. And, you know, what I see there is that it's an opportunity for a family to take bicycles in the winter and put them away. If they've got a motorcycle in the summer, they can park it in the wintertime, put it inside a storage unit. If they have, excess furniture or something, like I said, they downsize, or family, or two couples get, you know, two people get married, and they move together, they've got extra furniture. I just think it's an opportunity to help keep the area from being cluttered. We see so much clutter in our community, right? From one end of town to the other end of town. People have stuff all over around their house. And if this is an opportunity to avoid that, I think it's a great idea.
I agree, and it doesn't get out of hand. You know,
What are these including the rents or the purchase, or they have to chase or?
Yeah.
But that's only available to the residents of the community, correct?
Correct. Let's see, that's a question we need answered. Yeah, thank you very much. Hey, I said, we're not going to housing, but I just need questions.
Yeah, outside the community, there's Scott's, there's a lot of other places that,
Correct.
Yeah, like I mentioned, you know, even if things don't cancel, you know, maybe that, you know, one building, see how it goes, you know, and I'm not gonna put up the whole thing and find out, well, we have to rip it out, that doesn't do us any good, so. You know, we'll build them out and build community.
Let me check, oh, we got one more question. Yeah, that's
In terms of the grant application, we've been told back and forth that it is or it is not a matching grant. We do see that in the resolution, you guys are understanding that it's a 1.5 million matching grant. So you,
It's not a matching grant. So matching grants are specific, like you stated in the past. Like the matching grant requires that you must have a match for it to go. And so it would say in the grant requirements like this, you need to have 50% of the funds of what you're giving. This one just happens to be that there is additional funds because the infrastructure is more expensive than 1.5 million, which is where the grant is capped at. So they provided the proof of funding to cover that additional, at that time estimated $1.5 million to cover the remaining portion of the infrastructure. So that's where how that goes.
so whereas Redstone Homes will provide a private match for the infrastructure funds in the amount of 1.5 million, and responsible for any above and beyond cost incurred. That's not something
So that's true. It's a grant, like definition of what a grant match is very specific versus like what this is saying is that they are providing these funds to cover that cost of the infrastructure.
okay. And then my only other question right now is under number 3. So one of the things that we have talked about and are not understanding correctly, not understanding. Currently, this land is owned by the village, but in essence, it will purchased by you. But we're approving a grant that says the village of Roscommon is uniquely positioned to successfully implement this program because the village of Roscommon is the landowner of the vacant parcels and has been partnering with Redstone Homes over the past 2 years to develop a plan for this development. So in the grant, does this then, because we haven't been presented with the purchase agreement involved, we haven't done the process of selling village property. So how does that look for the village is taking on this grant, the village owns the property, correct? And where in this process would that ownership transfer to Redstone?
So that happens after the NEPA environmental clearance. You have to, it's weird how the process goes, and Mr. has trying to work on clarifying, helping us clarify this, because it goes, you apply, so we've been reserved funds from Mr.'s like pool of money. So we have been reserved funds right now. We need to provide the application documentation so that they can actually award funds. Then what happens is they need to go through this NEPA environmental clearance, which is NEPA is the federal guidelines because they're federal funds, where they have to go through a whole bunch of like federal statutory like checklists. They have to do like SHPO, which is like this historical study and stuff. So that take like 6 months. Until you get through that, you can't do specific contracting actions. And so what Michigan came back with and let us know is that, okay, and we have the purchase option agreement drafted with it, and we have are waiting like comments back from the lawyer, which is why it didn't make it here today. But what they have progressed doing is saying, okay, you're going to have a performance and proof of funds coming from Redstone, and the narrative, showing that there is that relationship with the developer, but you cannot, under federal guidelines, contract until you get through that NEPA environmental clearance. So they're considering contract being that development agreement for the whole project, which you would want to have. We want to outline saying, okay, we've entered into this agreement. We want to have this development we're talking about. This is the phases we expect. We have all that in that. It can't happen until after the NEPA environmental clearance. And then that purchase option agreement too would happen at that point, after you get through that NEPA environmental clearance. So we've been wading through the kind of waters of federal like guidelines and trying to get clarification from Mexico. So I apologize that hasn't always been completely clear. We get kind of changing remarks sometimes back from them or reclarifications back from them, but that's currently where it's staying. It's process.
Okay, so the site plan is being submitted with the grant application.
Yep.
And the land can't be transferred. What happens if the council doesn't pass the site plan and doesn't pass the sale of property?
Well, the council doesn't, the planning commission has responsibility for approving the site plan for your zoning ordinance, so that doesn't need to happen. If they don't pass the sale of the land, then it wouldn't transfer, and then I guess, I don't know exactly what happens from that. The project would die, essentially. But, you'd be awarded the grant, and then you would not be fulfilling the grant.
Implications that have for the village if that happens, like we have.
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, don't know.
Those are things that we need to know before we move forward with something like this, in my opinion. Okay, I think that's.
Yes, to be just applying for the grant. So those details and the stuff would be in the grant agreement, as well as like what are the specific things you agree to signing off for once you would receive the notification of grant award. So that's sort of like would be a next step, and I think they're important questions that you're asking for sure. Like what happens? But this authorization is just this next step of do we apply for the grant or not?
I couldn't give you that explanation.
That's why. It's especially what. It sounds like we have a lot of unsure to go before the board to make a decision at this time.
Great.
And I would hope the board consider that there are a lot of questions and coming for it. We'll get you so. We're just on one more. So, we're talking about the senior center, looking on the height, all that, like that much, looking board member once. Architect, chair of the rock, then again, Richard on anything. And then researcher. Well, he's a senior. Living there, is it going to be, what is it going to be like, senior tenants there or the individual apartments?
No, I think we still, I mean, I know we're gonna be working or talking with, I don't know if it's the same people. Mid-Michigan, they've expressed interest of being involved with the facility.
Mid-Michigan, medical stuff. I just wonder,
Yeah, so I mean, we've got a box in that place. It's a placeholder of this is where we'd like to see it.
oh, one more thing. that man, I don't know. So I was gonna say, hell, he said that Roscommon County, the second oldest county in the state of Michigan, meaning our citizens here are the oldest town, on all the counties in Michigan, our percentage is 3%. And it will be over 50% of here, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Would you want to, stay right there?
But to get that unfortunate compost that you're grateful. So that's. So you look at that, the only project and maybe 2 years into it, and then so kind of move back out. Did that happen since 1997 and never happened? No. Yeah. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, you want. Sure. You bet.
My understanding from what I just heard is basically there's so much still unanswered questions about this company, what actual phases are going to take place, when, what, and how. And there are so many other questions that people in the village have that I personally feel that the board should not act upon this until they have been more educated exactly what's going to take place and what's going to transpire in this complex. If we're going to give this to them at what rate or anything at all, we're just going to give it to them for $1 and say, there you go. We're standing behind the new funding project. And the government supplement monies that are going to be available. Is that what the village board has answers to all their questions? And I feel personally that there are so many up in the air questions that I have, and I know several people in my area have, that are unanswered. And even listening here today, they're still unanswered. And I don't think that if the board is representing us, should be able to make a decision until they have the actual answers to the questions that the community has. And I know there are other areas in the community that they can build low-income housing, that they can build a hotel, that they can build these other things without destroying a natural area to put in a big complex that may or may not sustain the village. Because it sounds like these apartments, townhouses, and things like that are going to go for very high amounts of rent or make time rentals. We don't know at this point.
You mentioned low income housing. Where is that in here? Because that's not a part of this project.
There's not, but he implied that there would be housing available for seniors and people that have incomes. I consider that a senior. They're not multimillionaires. They're townhouses go for $200,000. So somebody's making some big dollars on this where the community is not going to be able to, because it's not going to be taxable to these people buying a townhouse, where a house structure or a housing facility that the village could approve could be built at minimum rates and sustain the needs for the community at this point. And so I'm asking the board to really consider the questions that are unanswered before they just push a decision and say, yes, yes, we'll go ahead 100% on this project.
Thanks, sir. Yes, sir.
Comments, please. I'd like to start off by saying I'm a lot more impressed than I thought it was going in with the state development. If it becomes anything like this. I wasn't expecting that. I guess I tried to see it, but I hadn't really understood what I was. So I got on that. One question I have and I, would be on the 51% of units for, area median income of less than of 80% or more. And the question I have is, have you done a development like this or a project like this, referred to as, where you have done that already? And, I'm not sure what information they're gonna be on the purchase, townhomes or condos or so. Is that gonna, are those two? Is that gonna mix?
The 80% is just for that first phase that was talked about, so the 17 units from the first phase, those apartments, this is the 80%.
I guess they understand that, but there's some, universe.
No, you're right, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like that. It's throwing it out there. I'm not saying yay or nay. That's something I think to be considered perhaps.
So it has, when I was reading Gary's letter, and I know it's maybe a little harder to kind of follow along when I'm reading something versus saying something, but Gary's kind of idea on this project at the start here is we're not looking at making the highest profit we can on these units. The thing we want to do is we want to make these affordable. We want to sell or rent these as quickly as we can. We don't want to be on this project for 10 years. Our preference would be that we're in and out of here in 5 to 7 years. Because that means we've done a good job, we've got the community's needs, and it's built out for obviously moving on to another project. So that's our goal. We're not looking to make the highest amount of maximum profit we can. We're just looking at making these reasonable as we can and looking at ways, even maybe some new construction concepts of how to be able to get these at the best price we can.
And so I appreciate you not wanting to be here for 10 years. Because we'd like to see it done and bought up as soon as possible also on here. Did you mention in the front kind of in there anywhere a commercial or retail space? Did I see that? No. Okay.
Well, it's a commercial, it's considered like commercial hotel and then the commercial senior care facility.
That's the show. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Do you have your own building crews, or do you when you come to the pilot advisors, do you hire yourself contractor?
Oh, we have some of our own crews. It depends on what building type. I mean, for the kind of the more residential units, we have our own building crew. For the apartments, we'll probably look at subbing that out.
The infrastructure.
Infrastructure. Yeah. Yep.
Do you have contractors for the infrastructure also?
We're starting to talk with some, yes.
Okay.
And that would need to go through like the bidding process, the federal, if it was under the Michigan stuff, would have to go like a federal bidding process, so like it would be a selection process.
And so obviously some of the infrastructure is gonna have to be done phase one. Correct. Will you wait till you go into phase two to start the infrastructure for the future phases?
Yes.
Okay. So this, I'm sorry for so many questions. The first phase only is gonna be funded for this intensive grant application. Correct. So once the first phase is done and that money's spent, how are the other phases gonna be funded?
With private.
Private equity?
And to plan, which would come from what's called Gary had kind of talked through that a little bit. So that's a portion of the funding which would need to go through all the taxing jurisdictions. So it would need to go through Higgins Township as an approval. It would need to go through the DDA, through the village, or through the county. And so that needs to the first step on that is compliance with, and actually we have Mac online, who's the county's Brownfield Development Authority's TIF consultant. And so he's helping ensure that the plan that's presented is in compliance with what was also mentioned in Gary's letter, which is the Act 381. And so that was what in 2023 they allowed housing to be a part of that, and that's to fund the infrastructure costs. I would say they're looking at building different things, but the fact that also construction costs are very high. And so the tax increment financing plan is a way to also support that, so there's a period of delayed tax. Funding from back to the local taxing jurisdictions, excluding schools, excluding debt. Did I miss anything, Mac? Those are the main things.
Nope,
And
that's a
then,
great.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
I was just gonna say that's a great explanation, Amanda. I'm Mac McClellan. I'm the Brownfield consultant for the Roscommon County Brownfield Authority and representing the village as well. But yeah, this is really an opportunity or component to pay for the public or to help support and finance the public infrastructure. The increased taxes that are generated by the project are captured and then reimburse those costs. And the developer is providing detailed financial information to lay out their needs for those costs. And then that's put together in a brownfield plan, as Amanda said, that would be reviewed by you and the township and the county board as well. So that's kind of the long-term financing structure for the infrastructure improvements as part of the project.
Makes sense. And that would be something that at the next Higgins Township meeting, that Mac would be available to come and help talk through that plan as like an education ahead of a vote, so that, you know, Higgins and also the village will be able to understand just more about what's in that plan and ask questions and whatnot, and then come back for votes.
Projects a little bit. So there is the potential for some deferred tax payment.
Yeah, that's what the tip would do. Yep.
Okay.
I'll just add on that the great part about the TIF project is that a large percentage, almost 60% of the dollars come from the state through the capture of the school operating taxes and the state education tax. And importantly, schools are held harmless. They don't lose any money within this project. They receive their same foundation grants as well. And so it's a great opportunity to bring some state resources in to support housing in the community.
Thank you.
Sorry, Troy. You're holding for please. Troy being a village resident. And many of you know how I feel about this project. I understand the need for housing, but bringing this corporation in isn't really the best solution for our community, would like to say. Try to get our 40 acre land, protecting up, maybe give them a tip plan. But I think away from the senior citizens and the veterans and all that. And, you know, the whole thing from guys and affordable housing, but I'm not going to take a radical law, but I see them as affordable. I haven't rented since 2018, but I don't pay no more than $5.50 a month. Yeah, that's type of money. Doesn't bring me. I can go afford it, plus the whole room negotiate fee. And then if you look at the master plan, they did a survey of what kind of housing needs the community would like to see, and the ones they're building here are one of the lowest ones. Apartments are 9%, people responded, they want to short it. Townhouses 9%, duplexes are 5%, and the most popular are single family homes and lots, 22% of that. Master plan. So I think we should get all the 40 acres, and we mentioned before. We want to build the industrial park and they need a place with don't eat lunch. You know, it takes about 6 minutes to get to town. 6 minutes to get back, you know, how long you stand in line, there's a whole lunch break. So we're in town to go to McDonald's back. I think we should really consider this more. The village council has been left out in planning, you know, pretty significantly. And I think you should really take time to consider it. But that's all I got.
Yes, great. Can I give you keep your name involved?
Right, so. I just want to share with regards to the duplex specifically. I have widow friends that lost their husbands that have sold their homes that moved into these type of facilities downstate. They love it, but one of the questions I have is the maintenance, because they don't have to do maintenance at their homes. Basically, they're selling their homes to move into these facilities because they don't want to have a maintenance at home or the lawn care and stuff like that. One of the questions I have regards to the duplexes, for instance. Who does the lawn? Does everybody do their own, or okay, that rent?
Part of the HOA, team will cover, you know, mowing your lawns, shoveling your sidewalks and plowing your driveways. It's basically kind of a maintenance.
So they'll leave maintenance fee there.
Yeah.
Okay, because they love it. They all love.
Yeah, well, that's, like I said, that's all part of it. It's all part of the HOA, that's all covered.
Addition to the rent.
To the rent, though. It's an HOA fee in addition to the rent.
I know, all kinds of, it would be. Right, it's rental to be included, if it's a for sale product, then it's, it would be, either quarterly or a semi-annual, fee or due that would be paid. Correct.
It's gonna be maintained.
Yes, correct. Yeah, the lawn remote, same day, all the project, so.
Great.
Great, and being on the council, I have not learned anything new tonight. So people that are saying they've been kept in the dark and they don't understand things. I think you've done a really good job in explaining things in the different phases and how things are.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Liz from Chicago. Just because I'm a short drive, I'm in the community for 41 years. So the rent, is any of that, and I probably missed it, based on income? Like, because I can tell you there are waiting lists everywhere. You cannot find housing. I work hospice. I'm looking at a hospice house right now for our area. We got a grant that we applied for. So I'm wondering if there's any income based here, like
In the first phase, that's the 80% AMI,
right.
units, so that's 17 of those units. Are that,
Because
so
I
it's
probably-
not, it's for like moderate income, right? So it's not low income, it's that moderate income. We're going to provide some caps, so that was a reserve for those that are making, in ours, it's like 45,000 for one person, 52,000 for two people, so that's what you're looking at with income.
That's right.
It's not a voucher type housing.
No.
It's easy.
Right. That's what I'm looking for, and we have patients. I work home care and hospice, and there are people that can't afford, they can like more, but somewhere, you can't find them. I'm free to go downstate now. I mean, so,
The things that she was talking about, that's our law enforcement family.
Yeah.
Fire department.
Yeah.
So teachers.
yeah,
Factory workers,
Support.
things, right? So we're public service, right?
yeah, and we're all getting older, and they're saying by the year 2030, we're gonna have 70% of the population gets over 60. Like, we need something.
I think our average age was 55 and our.
Yeah,
55.9.
55,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see it every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, ooh, I'm like not even there. Instead, I mean, it's about my 3.5 acres. Yeah.
Sure. No, you can just give your name for it, please.
Don Dixon, this dollar trust. What you have here is proposed plan development. Right. That's been a long time in the planning. We need housing. All right, you need housing. And as far as affordable housing, on the planning commission, we had many discussions of what constitutes a starting point. What constitutes affordable housing? Well, we need housing. Because you don't plan community, then you'll end up having unplanned development. And you have unplanned development. We don't want that to be hamburger hill in West Ranch. We don't want Soviet block apartments like we have in Green Lane. And we have planned development, making it a walkable, protecting the environment and having a buffer between these homes and that creek, which I fish in that creek, I want that creek to be maintained. I've been in this community for over 30 years. We bought a little house, we bought the old Roscommon house, and across the street was an empty school building. An empty school building. Forward-thinking people made that into a magnificent center. We have a Remra that has beautiful park. Look what happened last summer. Planned development. We have a wonderful park at the park we had and across the river. Planned development.
We have a beautiful water tower, and this is going on, our infrastructure will handle this. Plan development. With our rotaries, statements. How many cars are out there? They took an old building and converted more than one. Develop. And what you have is something that is being done in phases. It is something that is being done with the assistance of the state, which really wants the development. And so it behooves us to think forward. Because if we don't think forward, we're going to end up with unplanned development. And we can't have it in the pieces. As far as the price for this, going to them for $1. We bought it when I was on the village council, and what did we pay for it? $1. So if you want to go with inflation, charge them $1. Follow inflation, but go for plan development. And we were hand bringing over calculating the numbers. There isn't going to be traffic jam in the village. And if you ask any shop owner on Main Street, Lake Street, and ask them directly, you don't want us just. Do you want fewer people coming in for money? Do you want fewer people to come into your store, into your restaurant? That's it.
Thanks, sir. So that's. Thanks for your comments. I think with the large group that we have here today is a good time to revisit a couple different things. What is affordable housing to Jennifer, myself, Brian, or whomever is different, right? It could be a single man or single woman or mom or dad. You could be a married family. You could be retirees. You could be veterans. Everybody comes from a different angle, right? We all come from all over the place. And what's affordable to one may not be affordable to another. So this may not be the ideal situation for 20% of our population or 30 or what have you. But I think, one thing we want to look at in maybe the target audience is let's look at our school. We've got a declining school population. The school was designed and structured to accommodate what I heard 2,500 maybe.
Over 2,000.
Over 2,000 students, and we're under 800 now. And so, if you bring young families in, let's say, that come in and they've got 2 kids, what is it, 1.8 is now the average, I think, on children, maybe 2 per family, to help build the school base, right? You bring in additional students, you bring in younger employees to help our community grow. Like you mentioned, people shopping in the small towns, right? I had a small business here, so I'm familiar with some of that. You're bringing people in that will come in, like Tony mentioned, lunch. If they come down here to the restaurant, I understand it's a little bit of a drive or commute, but it just builds our aging population to keep Roscommon growing is the way I look at it. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's the infrastructure has been designed to fit that. There's design in here for additional infrastructure and pump stations. The sewer system and the water processing facility is designed to handle the additional personnel this is geared towards. So just I guess be careful when we talk about affordable housing. There's a variety of different people that we would like to come to the community, and there's a lot of places they can commute to. I saw some handsome engagement on social media today. Look at our surrounding areas. You got West Branch, you've got Gaylord, even Cadillac, right? I know when I was in the service, I couldn't live on a military base all the time. I had to commute sometimes, or my civilian job, would commute. So there's a lot of commuting that goes on. So there are a lot of larger areas, right? You got a SAW facility that's coming to Graham. With that, they're looking at other future developments in the industry, military industry or commercial industry. So think about those things for other families, maybe not just for you as an individual that may not want to live here, or maybe can't afford to live here, right? We can't all afford to buy or pay a $2,400 a month rent, but there are people that can. And so think about
the other individuals that are out there in the world that could take advantage of an opportunity.
Just to kind of give the other side of that point, in the master plan, 43.8% of Roscommon County is 99,000 or less for family income. 48% are, only 46% are two-income households. And when you look at, yes, talking about bringing in the smaller or the small families into a 3-bedroom for 2,400 a month, where are the jobs that can support that kind of rent for a small family? That's just like, I don't see the jobs being available for, I mean, if at currently 43.8% are under the $100,000 range, that tells me that there's not jobs here to support that kind of.
So some of that can be driven by the lack of housing, right? And the lack of being able to bring people into our community. When you, let's use the Saab as an example. And this is dialogue between the two of us because we're going to help each other here. But with the Saab facility that's coming, and originally they structured that, or they indicated that was going to be about 78 jobs, I think they said. They have recently, I believe, changed that and maybe up that to approximately 200 or maybe even about 200 positions for Saab. What Saab does is they do military munitions, military grade munitions. And so they have design engineers, they have laborers, right, that work production and manufacturing. They have their engineers, they have manufacturing managers, they have plant manager, they have other higher level positions than what we may currently have here. We have a right? We've got here. So there are some other positions in factories and companies that do have that. But with that, with them coming in, you know, some of those design engineers and plant managers, they're making 200,000, 175,000 a year as an individual. If they're a married couple and their spouse is working, sometimes spouses will follow, whether he or she, and they'll pick up other jobs. There may be a teacher that comes along and works. They could be a law enforcement firefighter, something like that. So I don't know, you know, I understand some of the numbers there, and it is, you know, it's what, 99,000, I think, for us. So 40-some%. Yeah.
And
That's on the higher end.
Yeah.
And so, but you know, if we draw other people, you know, you could draw a military family, a retiree, military family retiree who's working, makes more than that. You know, I mean, if there's an opportunity for people to come here, we just don't, you know, we may not have had the opportunity for that number of people to populate our area.
And I guess my other thought that would be, if you've got these people at the higher end, are they going to purchase a home that's right next to a hotel, or are they going to go to the lot and build a home or buy a house that has more land? I do have.
Yeah.
Like, have you built something like this before, or any of your other?
Yeah, well, minus the hotel part of it, we're not hotel people. But the reason, you know, and part of this, again, being a planned community is that you have your rental here, and once you get through that, everything's for sale. But, you know, with these apartment buildings here, you know, the kind of commercial space of the hotel and the senior facility is, you know, it's kind of sectioned off, so it's not really kind of part of the part of the energy. You know, and the thing that we thought about and your comments, you know, with the Saab and Lear and stuff, and, you know, they have parent companies, you know, and so, you know, those executives are sure fly in to, you know, inspect their facilities or run their local plan. Where do they stay? Probably not, you know, our counter, but we can provide them, you know, with a nice hotel. Where they can stay. That means now they're spending their money in the community, go out for dinners or whatever it may be. So that's why I said, you know, when we look at your housing study, and it showed, you know, just really the spectrum of what's needed here. That's what we took to heart when we designed this. So we're trying to, you know, kind of maximize what community needs and trying to fulfill just about it, you know, as much as we can with the housing mix. One of the things that I didn't mention in my initial comments is that there's sidewalks, throughout the whole community. So again, if you have seniors that want to get out and to walk within the community. But then we're also connecting kind of a bike path, all the way through, to where the sidewalk ends that takes you all the way into the village. So if you want in that walk, I don't think we're actually showing it. The walk will actually continue on to our kind of third entrance. So again, we're connecting this community with the village, with that walkway.
Hey, David,
Yes.
do you mind if I jump in on that? Good evening, Council Jared Lutz. I am the TIF consultant working with Redstone. And I've done a number of these projects across the state, a couple of dozen housing projects from downtown mixed use projects and large cities to strictly single family subdivisions in rural parts of the state. And projects like this that are, a mix of housing types. To David's point on kind of the mix of housing needs and comments from council members, the thing we've seen on this is, there will be units offered at different price points, but oftentimes what happens is not only will these projects bring new residents into town, but it also is going to unlock some existing housing that people are going to relocate from, right? So if somebody might be in the space where they could upgrade to a new single family home or to a townhome, that's going to free up their existing housing unit to go on the market. And I was just looking this morning, it looks like on Zillow in the village of Roscommon, there's about 2 homes available for sale right now. And it does not look like there's any homes available for rent. So being able to unlock more housing stock at even different price points as people either relocate into this facility or bring in new residents is going to be really good for the housing continuum at all income spectrums.
A question for you, two questions in this. One, the story is how if I usually need to try stuff, but you're still you've based on studies that support that you feel that this area can support, which proposal.
As Gary mentioned in his letter, the whole part of the reason we're taking a big risk, a really big risk, but we believe in the project and we believe in the community. I mean, when I came in that day and met with Ron and Jim, first time I've been in Roscommon. I've been here several times since, not only for this, but some other work in the area. We have a wonderful community. I mean, to me, walking downtown in the summer, the music's going on and stuff. I mean, the new park, and I mean, you really have a wonderful community. So, we believe in the project. We're willing to invest in the project. So, as Gary mentioned in his letter, there's because there's not been anything built like this in the area. There's no comps. Lenders are really going to be reluctant to lend money. So yes, we're taking a big risk here, but it's a project we believe in and we think can be quite successful. And we look at it as that it just will make this whole community more vibrant. Brings in new people, and as Jared mentioned, kind of brings up their homes for other people. So now all of a sudden you've got this kind of transaction of people coming in, people moving up, provides other housing opportunities for the people who live here as well.
Thank you. And the second person with the question, I believe when you guys went in front of the planning commission, that one of the stipulations that they had put out to it before they approved the zoning was they were very concerned about the infrastructure, water, sidewalks, all that. Is that still that's what's all part of phase 1, and that's what's being paid for by the initiative or covered by the initiative?
So Phase one, kind of, throw it as, the first two 12-unit apartment buildings and the first two 40-unit townhouse programs. So, the road and infrastructure comes to this point here, and to this point here. So we've had our engineer, give us propose or, kind of, the proposed infrastructure costs for phase one. And then we turn that over to the village engineers to review those numbers, and they came back and supported. So that infrastructure total, by their estimates, is $2.38 million. So, the grant's covering part of that. The rest of it, is on us. Now, if you look at that, 2.38 million, and we're putting in 32 units for phase one. If you divide that out, that's 75 grand per unit. That's not affordable. I mean, when you look at these type of rental units, you typically are looking at, infrastructure costs that are more of, say, 20 to 25,000 per unit. So this phase is very expensive, and we're willing to take that risk to get it started.
Question for sir again. Do you have the risk factor that you will at some point tip over, where you won't continue to finish out the entire complex, I guess?
In our business model, as long as, then, we can take advantage of the Michigan grants and take advantage of the TIP program, and we can, get the land at a reasonable price, as we've been told, what we could get it for. So I mean, we're willing to take that risk, and it's going to be more on, can we build the apartments, and can we sell the units?
If, that's what I'm asking though, is one point here. Becomes unaffordable for more people if we don't get the fill that you're looking for. I mean, at one point where you might drop out.
Not sure. I guess we're not seeing it as an affordability or a profit. We're looking at, can we fill these units? Right. That's the unknown. If we can fill the units, we're going to keep moving, and that's all we can do is hope that we can keep moving.
Yeah, I mean, the problem having is you keep saying hope and risk, and I mean, that's.
You take that in every project.
I understand that private project, I've taken that's a look from the house, that's another risk. I mean, we're selling you 40 acres of land.
If we don't fill it, you get it back. I mean, that's.
You outline in the development agreement, yeah, it's a clause, there'd be clawbacks, if you wanna work through the lawyer that protects the village to say, you said you do this, if there's a portion of it that doesn't, then this happens, or if it doesn't get done within this time frame, then this happens. So you wanna work with the lawyer closely to outline that agreement, so that the village is protected. But that's again, like the later phase, the environmental, all that stuff, that's something they start thinking about, and making sure that the village feels comfortable with that agreement. And then, so that's, kind of better worries and all that.
Yes. If we can't finish the project, we want the land, we don't want to pay tax on it.
Yeah, I'll leave you there. So I just continue on.
You guys,
That's good.
my name is Kathy Moore, I'm a village resident. You guys have heard me talk about this before. It took us 3 years to find a home in this market. We found a house on the market. And it's something that we've had to put a lot of time and energy into to make it livable for us. This opens up an opportunity for people of my generation. I am 28 years old. Going on 29, and it took us 3 years to find a home to live with our in-laws, through my in-laws. For that time period to save up the money and be able to do that. I had a big, long thing right now today. But most of my questions got answered already. I have a question for you as a board. Why would you approve the application to move forward on this if you're not willing to take those steps and move forward? Because it sounds like there's a few of you that are worried about what the next steps may be. It sounds like Redstone is ready. I'm not sure where the pause is for you guys. It would bring multiple people back home. My husband drives from Howard to work to Augusta and back every day. You asked about if we're willing to commute. We're willing to commute if we have places to live that aren't with our parents. That are affordable place to live or something available for us to grow a family and to create a life here. We love being in Roscommon. I know a lot of people that would love to be here and live here. Have friends scattered across the state that live at school and things that fit right. They live home. You can have your own choice, but would love to live up north. In this area where we live. In this beautiful place. And we have done so much to develop the village. Why wouldn't we develop the housing to accommodate more people? Thank you.
Brian, can I say something? You can call me after that.
Just one of the things. There's two plans are. And everybody, all these individual government bodies have to approve that together. So. They know the county has been negative on that. They failed to pass, Roscommon Township and Roscommon Township. They asked for this and they turned them down. And that's why I'm wondering, hey,
County Brownfield Authority has not had any CHIP plans go through them. So I'm not sure what.
this would be the first.
This is the first housing to go through the County Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, who has the jurisdiction over.
That's not the county commissioner.
Well, county commissioners would have a role in the final approval step, but it starts with the County Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, who is, of the county themselves. And so they haven't had any TIP plans go through them.
And this would only come from property taxes in this.
Yeah, the incremental, which it's starting at, $0. So there's no tax right now, I believe, or maybe there's very minimal, I'm not sure on that exact number. Essentially, you're starting at nothing, so any of the increment as the development gains, you look at it over a course of, say, 20 years, and then those increments are what are paying it back over time from the tax, incremental tax dollars. It's different than the DDA, yeah, because it's just to this parcel related to the tax that gets generated from the new values based on the development.
Your people understand.
Matt, thank goodness we have Mac and Jared. But
Study.
yeah, that.
This association, big spiel some years ago, about 10 years ago, and we tried to get rid of. I mean,
Yeah.
they had all kinds of legislation passed because they claimed the assessment of property taxes was going up. They were getting done.
Yeah, that's the DBA one. Yeah, there was definitely not.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, good, Dan.
Years ago, when I was at Roscommon Insurance, my name's Tammy McGinn. Center of the village. And that was before they were putting in our local plans, the roof or whatever you say. The head engineer, developer, came into our office and said, do you know any good developers? He said, because we're gonna have jobs, like 200 to 300 to 400 people up here working at our plant. And if you know of a developer that can put in housing, because your area has no housing, he had to search and search and search. And his staff had to go to Gaylord and Grayling to get housing. And he came back in and he said, I can tell you 100 people that would have bought, over 100 people that would have bought in your community had there been a housing market for them to come to. Now, whether or not, I just wanted to tell David that there is a need here. Whether it's high, low, or in between, this fits a criteria for what we see, and we see it all the time. And I like what Cassidy said about traveling to come home. My husband worked in Hope Lake, just like Jennifer. She travels to work too. And I was looking around the table. Some of us have to travel out of town when we come home to live. So that's all I have.
I'm J. I'm a village resident. I'm not gonna argue with you guys. I know there's a huge housing crisis need to look in the news. I'm gonna tell stories on it. I don't like you guys consider a huge chunk of land, 41 acres. And we talk about Jackson communities. And we keep going over to Crawford County and the Hodges, we're gonna get like for Traverse City. It's nice to kind of see some larger scale businesses come into our county. And I expect my community, support my local businesses instead of me supporting Traverse City businesses. I'd like to see more
with doing housing, I'm not gonna argue there, we 100% do, but I kind of like to see around town kind of build more jobs, market up too. A lot of these kind of cater and stuff, so many careers. There's a nursing shortage, there's a teacher shortage, there's a shortage in our firemen and our police officers. I think that needs to also be taken into consideration too, now, especially my research on it. It's kind of declining, and it's really, really nice to see around town to bring in some more of these larger scale business like Grayling Times of South, like Hamilton Rocco, just something kind of keep the people that live here, and then we can also contribute to my local community and give back to you guys, and kind of keep our time going set that way.
Just one comment on that was, we have the industrial park, if we're coming in, we have land available for people to buy and build over there as well. So
The old Rite Aid store's been for sale for how long? That's right. Like, move a business into Rite Aid, I don't think that's.
Doug Hatches, and I've got a couple of questions, and I'm quite familiar with rentals. I've done rental business for about 40 years. Right. But I'm wondering about first thing would be the infrastructure. You're using this grant money, put in the roads and the sidewalks and stuff. Then 20 years down the road, when those things need to be replaced, is that going to be all on the village for the lift station and any infrastructure? Yes.
Public road, yep.
Okay. And so then the village is going to maintain the streets in there.
Streets, yeah.
Okay. And then the other thing is there, and you touched on it a little bit, but it sounds to me like there's no real guarantee that after the first phase is done, that you brought it up, Brian, that there's no guarantee that the second phase will ever happen. You know, and I would like to see something there that, you know, it's guaranteed that the whole thing's going to happen, feasible. But the other thing, just as a side note, and I think Cindy mentioned about widowers and stuff moving in, and I've seen it a lot in the Grayling. People sell their home, move in because they don't want to mow the lawn, they don't want to plow the right way, whatever. I see that a lot. But the other thing that I see is the housing affordability in the Traverse City area is so bad that I'm renting to people in Grayling that are commuting to Traverse City to work. That's not helping the people in Grayling that are looking for housing, but it's here I'm helping out the people that are working in Traverse City. Those people that are working in Traverse City and living in Grayling are not buying things locally. They're buying your stuff in Traverse City. So there's things to think about. And I'm not saying I'm against it. This isn't what I think anything that I'm doing. But it's just some of these things that I'm wondering if mainly for infrastructure we're going to be able to maintain for 20 years.
Yeah, I believe that's part of this part of our village infrastructure at this point, so I would just.
And it's a good thing, all these people are common, and that's how we learn. All of us, and we may not agree, well, learning from all the info that we didn't know.
Somebody else over here?
Yes, in the back, I thought I saw a hand, but maybe not.
Anybody else have any questions or comments or? Yes, ma'am.
Lou Wilson. Where did the 26-year tax increment come from? From the property tax. So they will pay property tax in 26 years. Is that right?
No, no, there hasn't been a set amount yet. The 26 years, the village has owned the property for 26 years at this point. TIF plan is what would come, like that's in development and go through the Brownfield Authority and then would come, I think it's at, the current estimate was somewhere around 21 years, but that needs to be worked through yet. Before it's for all the government place. So at this point, there's not a tax deferment on this plant, on this property, but that would be forthcoming as something as a next step. So yep.
Did we get any other proposal, development proposal
we've worked on that and called developers, went to meetings, first thing they said is, can you show us, you say you need housing, but can you prove it to us? So that drove us to go ahead with the housing. Developers are not gonna invest that kind of money without some type of statistics or study behind it, saying that there is to me. I've talked to hotel chains and different groups, and I have had zero luck in having anyone that's willing to stick their neck out to develop this with the certain costs. If that property already had existing water and sewer in that on those acres there, we probably could have, but that is a huge expense to get that project off the ground. But we don't, so we're starting from scratch with all the different surveys and different things. A lot of upfront money that Redstone has already put in to get to this point here. But yeah, we tried to find different developers local. We had a meeting here with 4 or 5 different local developers. They just said we can't touch it. We wouldn't have enough equity to take on a project of that. We're willing to help. A lot of them said that we're willing to help, but to oversee the whole thing would be
I just wanted to touch on that. We did have one local company come in with a plan. It was a much smaller plan. About 2 or 3 years ago, we had a local person that was interested and brought a site plan. And at that time, the infrastructure grant was either not available or was told it was a matching grant, so.
Yeah, there's a new program from last year, so that one didn't exist one for the housing.
Okay.
Yes.
So we can reach out to those people and see if that is still on their plate to maybe take over now that the funding is available through local.
It's gonna take the infrastructure, that's the part, that's the big one gonna happen. That's been a big problem, but they need plan references. They don't really have $1.5. Well, it's been sitting there all these years, we need sewage usage. We can't get the sewer, and that's the problem, it's at least $100 million. The police have that money to put that in, that's why the land's sitting here. On,
So who's gonna pay that much?
well, it's one percent.
Yeah, through the tip.
It's just a correction.
It's a correction, yeah, it's fortunate, but they have equity. So line it up, well, or.
That's why the business located where they're at, right on that street, they're in that stuff, in that position, they're on that street with sewer line runs by,
Yeah.
that's why they're there. Cause I know what is beyond that.
Kind of a general comment, but it seems like this helps a small portion of these, low, middle, high income people. Don't do so much for the community, especially when halfway through it gets lost and trying to bring new people in. In the village, the concern should be the people here already, if you bring all these people in, like it's been mentioned, where do they work? It seems like we're trying to just pack people in just to say that we have a bigger community. It doesn't really bring us together.
Thank you.
See how long time all the time.
Somebody else has any?
I just wanna say that it will help people around here find places to live. There's a lot of people that work around here that are looking for places to live and there's no housing.
Yeah, I think it'll help most people, but I think there's more people in these situations than we think there is. And a plan that tries to blanket everybody doesn't help the people we're really talking about, the old people that can't fix the roof on their house. I feel like those people might get overshadowed with that older people that can't, they just choose not to. But they would rather live in these places. Then again, we kind of forget about
those people. You know, as long as you have the money to do it, then this is fine, but what do you do if you don't have the money already? You know, we need more places to work. I guess it's just kind of one place to work. You know, there just needs to be more money flowing to the core of the team.
More people bring more money. And more businesses.
Well, we have a lot of property that's sitting in the village. That could be used for. If they could, if the village would approve it, like the spruce and the pizza place.
There's not that type of funding, probably there's any business. People are trying to get into the community and bring their health tax.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody, please stand up.
They did.
Yeah, so my front door, not from the community, my wife is, she's got her whole life. Unfortunately, I had to take a job that put me on the state for about 10 years, traveling all over the United States, because there was no work here. Finally, came back home with my business and no place to live. So now we have to live in Hope Lake. One son goes to Roscommon, my other son, daughter go to West Branch because there's no place to live. So I think this would be a blessing to the community. My grandma, she's 83 years old, lost my grandma in law, and she can't keep up on her house. So something like this would be a blessing for her. I'm a contractor. This is what I do. I install sewer and water. Build this whole project if you wanted me to. With that being said, I know the costs and the effort it takes to develop something like this. Yes, there's grants. The grants only cover so much. All of us put together might still scrounge up for the lift station in. Let alone your inspection fees and your monthly upkeep on that. If these guys are here to do that, that's a blessing. So I think this would be a great opportunity. I have been hiring for the past 3 years. I get people that show up and they quit. So the job thing, not an issue. You can drive through here, you go to Dewey's, he's looking for mechanics for the last 2 years. Dollar General's looking for people. I believe the problem is we bring quality people. So, thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say that I was on the campus with
Yeah, can I get the name? I'm sorry,
Jordan Hoff. They met around, it has a thing for example, in bracket. A month. It's a lot of it month. But I think that we be the people.
Job it out. They're people.
Anybody else have any comments or reflections?
Question, I rent the Jeep. Will resident, is Creekside state owned currently? The Robinson Creek that will be behind the apartment?
The river itself?
Yeah, that property behind DNR owns it.
Is he in our own?
Yep.
So as a resident, I live right down the road from there, walking up nearly every day for the past 6 years. We have multiple homeless living in the area. For the past couple of years. And, you know, might be a little upset by my blueberry patch gets knocked over. I'm just. That is my spring spot. But there, you know, and there are campers that camp in the area as well that, and side by sides, you guys running down my road, and every day in the summer are side by sides that will be running behind that. So is that still gonna stay as a seasonal road? Are we gonna address the homeless issue that we have as well in our area? Because
It's seasonal behind it because this runs, it doesn't run up to the creek. It actually stays off a little bit.
a little bit, because I know our diameter
It's not a huge distance. There's a buffer zone.
yeah.
Easement.
Is it any actual easement?
That road is a road. It's just, this road seems all it's not maintained. No, how to use it. Walking all that. Dinos.
I'm on the side, like.
So, sorry, really quick too, because I know that people actually can reserve spots on that land to camp. I've seen it before. This is Well, I seen recently and with the hairs. So are they still gonna be allowed to do that because it's DNR, right?
We are not touching the DNR property.
But it's sliver.
Yeah, that's not any part of our building.
On the other side of the.
Yeah, I think that's, I don't think that was.
Cause they have a big crosses. It's like,
Something like. Yeah. Yeah.
it's from like that room essentially, just back. Yeah. State,
Nothing to do.
essentially,
Right. Which is a lot, the creek. But people could still technically rent.
yeah, for the state.
I don't know if they.
I think it's on the east side. There's some sort of bricks on. Rode over, of course, bubble. Right. Thank you. Anybody else? Have any questions or comments?
Could I just say a couple things? If
Yes,
that's
sir.
okay? Yeah, again, I'm Mac McClellan representing the county and representing the interest of the village as well. And I just, you can tell by the color of my hair, I've been doing this a long time. I've done over 100 brownfield projects. I started out as the deputy county administrator in Grand Traverse County and established the brownfield authority there as well. And one of the things that kind of hits me about brownfield projects, hit me at that time and continues to, is that really the risk is on the developers in this case. It's a pretty great opportunity to move forward to incentivize housing. You know, there aren't housing units available. You know, as Jared said, there's just not available in the market is not taking care of the opportunity or the needs in the community. And so really housing does require some level of incentives to be able to move forward. It's just not possible without it, especially for those moderate income folks as well. But I think that is the item is that, you know, except after the CDBG and kind of I'll say a comment that you kind of got to buy a ticket to win the lottery. On the CDBG grant, it's an opportunity to bring in some state dollars for infrastructure improvements for a plan that the Planning Commission has already kind of determined is consistent with the ordinance and I think approved the site plan. But again, over and above that, all of the risks, they're going to be having to invest in all of the all the infrastructure on the project. And their sole revenue stream for that is the TIF revenues that are generated by the project. If they don't build that out, they put in the infrastructure, the project doesn't build it out, they don't get reimbursed. There's no other obligation for the community to pay them anything except for what's included within that brownfield plan. So it's all performance based on them completing the project. If they don't get reimbursed for those costs. So I think it's a pretty interesting and amazing concept to be able to provide all of that risk on the developer. There's some revenues certainly that the community won't get over time, but again, 60% of that is going to come from the state. It's a pretty great opportunity to provide support for the community, notwithstanding all of the other issues in terms of the development. But it's a pretty incredible opportunity, I think, to do that. And again, with the CDBG grant, you kind of have to ask, and include that and get that opportunity. The protections that are being talked about, there's going to be a development and reimbursement agreement as part of the project, and many of those kind of protections can be included within those agreements that provide performance indicators and those sorts of things. So just wanted to lay that out.
Can you, sounds like you're pretty familiar with CDBG grants and all of that. Can you speak to a question that was earlier that tonight, if the question from the council was proving the apply for the grant? If down the road, the council doesn't agree to sell the property or go forward with it, are you familiar with what happened with that grant? Is it just something like we said, okay, here's the money back, you can use it?
Yeah, I think you're going to want to have all of those arrangements in before you start spending significant dollars, obviously, for that. So, but you can't do that without getting the grant. And so I think some kind of simultaneously laying out those arrangements for the purchase of the property through a purchase agreement or some other agreement that lays out the terms and conditions to move forward for that. But yeah, in that case, there's going to be work that's done all preliminarily until you start spending the significant dollars. You can always say if it doesn't work out, then yeah, you turn the grant back. That certainly is an option, but I think it'd be good to, simultaneously, and I'm sorry, I don't know this specific item. We got a meeting on it tomorrow, but to talk through what that arrangement is. And so all parties can understand what the terms and conditions are of the acquisition and the development itself. So before significant CDBG dollars are spent. But it takes a while to get those dollars. You have to go, as Amanda mentioned, you have to go through the environmental review process. Some of those kinds of pieces as well. So I hope that answered your question.
But you don't wanna start spending the money on the like, you have to go through their commission, get the clearance, then you're good to spend it. But at that point, then there's like a phase of like, you lock down the purchase agreement and all that before you start spending money. And, you know, that's kind of how it worked, and you're submitting on a quarterly reimbursement, so it's not like the money hits your account. And you start spending it, it's all very controlled and in phases of like, then you get NEPA, then you do the purchase and contracting. Then you do the bidding, then you start spending the money, so they kind of keep it in a controlled phase with that.
Yeah, I've kind of likened it to a lazy Susan approach. You have all these documents, you have the CDBG grant, the development reimbursement agreement, the brownfield plan, the purchase agreement, all of those arrangements, and then you kind of spin them around and sign them all at the same time. So there's a whole lot of other, pieces that are put together as part of that package, kind of before you move forward into the implementation as part of that planning phase.
Right, I just want to add one piece, we did discuss, there is a small portion of revenue for the village on this project, would be the sewer and water. Yes, there is a small revenue stream.
Yeah, that's not for the ships, right? The sewer and water bills.
Could be direct, like, to be assistance to my actors, I mean, you feel over $100,000 based on all these units, like, being fully built out at that point. So that's annualized revenue that's recurring for the village directly as well. And then, water sewer hookup fees and things like that as well, so, that's also direct,
Well, yeah.
Remove balance or the sewer and water system, hours. But, everything on that end of town, guidance. So with this, if this development or some sort of a development like this, it will now become a loose system.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have stagnant water, sitting water pipe area that's gonna have waters. In the long run, it will benefit town system.
So you have a-
Yeah, one question, for your trash service, is that, would that be a revenue too for the? Or is that third party? So they would benefit from that as well, or
Yeah.
just curious on it?
I get a motion to close the public hearing.
I make a motion to close.
Second. All right, we've taken with closing at 8:47. Can I get a roll call, vote, please?
Ready? Yes.
Edwards,
Yeah.
Bishop,
Yeah.
Logan,
Yes.
Tebow,
Yes.
Sackles.
Yes.
All right, taking a great motion to resume the regular council meeting.
I make a motion that we resume it.
What?
Aye.
All right, it's to approve the regular agenda. Motion to approve the consent.
That 2,000 dollars.
I give a second. All right, second. Can I get a roll call, please?
Bishop.
Yes.
Logan,
Yes.
Tebow,
Yes.
Rodney,
Yes.
Edwards.
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve the regular agenda? Dan, bring it to the board.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a comment. Oh, I'm sorry. I need our motion.
We'll make a motion to approve the regular agenda.
Okay, can I get a second, please?
I'll second.
All right, my comment is, they had some here. Where it's due, so it's been plenty of time. For a resolution, for temporary moratorium on storage unit.
So the planning commission has time, they're apparently going to revise our ordinance. That's okay, I know that for sure. So anyway, I submitted plenty of time and it was all done, but it got placed somewhere down here under discussion items.
Under new business.
Yeah, but it's old business, I can't stop it's before it's unfinished, in my opinion.
Was it on the agenda and it's left open?
Well, it's on the agenda, it's
No,
just,
I mean, was it on a previous agenda as new business one day?
no, it was discussed, that's all.
So new business then technically to be on the agenda. We have to put it on the agenda to make it
Okay,
new business, yeah.
well, anyway. I guess I'll have to wait to get down there, and I just. Yeah,
Yeah. But before it was probably unusually discussed if it wasn't an agenda item, though, right?
The comment item,
Hi, Mike.
Bring up my name.
I guess. Great. We're taking a all in favor? Aye. Right. Okay. Well, I usually the damage of what so much need was from out there. Control project. And well done, long as we're working out like this. That place. We did have hopefully some development going on with the spruce. We're finally in contact with the insurance company. And it looks like they are going to approve the tear down of it, the rest of it. And it's not big out about hoping I hear something back at the end that, you know, more
names.
sounds pretty close.
99%.
Additional things are. Could be in the manager's report, could be the other report, but one thing we'll say, obviously, the other thing, had that ice storm, well, pretty much recovered from that, but now we had a flood.
Yeah.
And two of the guys worked throughout the night last night because you had so much water intrusion coming in through manholes and everything else to keep the lift stations up and running, so we didn't have backups failures. The rest of us started at 6 o'clock this morning working on it. We finally determined, besides all of the water that's coming in, there was still a lot of water coming in. We determined that over at St. Helen Lift, Andrew and I went over there and were looking at it. And that one pump, the 2 pumps insulate up the one pump with that had been running since 4 o'clock in the morning. And that was at 8:30. And what we determined, we started tracking it back down through. And we got over here to St. Helena Street between Lake and Fourth, or excuse me, Fifth and Fourth. And it's there's a manhole there. Nothing shows on it. The sewer line runs through St. Helena. But if you pull the manhole up, there's a pipe that comes up this way towards George. And all those homes are in the back. Somewhere in there, we found one today, but too much water, and we can't bring the rest. Somewhere in there, there's either a drain that someone has in a garage or a house that's tied into the sewer that shouldn't be. Or what we did find in there today at one of the places, the cap was missing off of the cleanup. We put that cap back on, it slowed the town, but it was still running cleanup sensitive. So unfortunately, we had to make the decision that until the water goes down, we can't find out where that problem is. So we had to plug that sewer line. So unfortunately,
the improvements, more other. Right now, we're talking sewer. We plan on going out again, to go checking it, seeing if it's slowed down. But until we can find where that's coming from, whether it's in a drown, into a clean out, but waters, we're talking needs in there. That's what things down there.
Multi-department. Go down Forester here to.
Yes.
And then across the creek and then right to town Margaret.
Yes. Yes.
They were very understanding. And they don't
We-
want their house.
We try to do everything that can help. You would think you will see a whirlpool out there where it's coming, but there is just so much water there. So
I guess it's confusing, but I was reading on Facebook that there are people over in Hope Lake there, they can't, they flush their toilet. And the gallons, people are coming, that's because your septic tank is full of water and I'm all right.
as the map was our decision, man, it was unfortunately, means those 4 homes in that apartment building. To sacrifice that so that we don't lose the whole system, the whole time is going. Well, we're gonna monitor it every day, and as soon as we can get in there to see where the problem's at, then we'll be doing that. You know, this is something that could be part of the Jeremy or the manager's report or the DPW report, but I attended the Big Hero Water Conference last month. All the guys did. And went very well. Everybody always, you go and learn something. There's so many classes you take, but one of the Michigan Rural Water is exactly what it applies to an organization that handles rural water instrument. But you're talking to a few of the members from there. Now we've got Jason here, let him get his feet under the table with it, but you know, there's been questions before about it. I think that's where somebody there. Got. Is there a better way? Is this the right way? But I do want to, you know, they offered to get going, but I told them with the situation we're in, that's not something I think Jason needs to jump into right now. But we've got plenty of time before left ones and all that stuff goes. But that's something that I want to get Jason on.
Sure.
What's that?
Also,
Tom, do you want to anything for the manager report or no?
Just on the spruce, as Doug said that I'm trying to reach out. I've had a couple phone calls today and going back and forth with current owner. She's going to help the property. My thoughts are before we would even consider that we need to have that basement and everything removed, just in case there's not a tank down there or something that no one knows about, that whoever the owner is going to be stuck with low wall, and that costs. But as far as things go, Cole from the current owners and from the insurance, how that was handled, and it's a mess. So I'm thinking that if this works out where the village could get ownership of that property at a very reasonable price, you know, I think it's a good trip.
Thank you, Rob.
You're suggesting we want to. I'm sorry, I'm going to suggest that.
We know that nothing that we have to be concerned about environmental. We do have a couple people that have spoken to us about maybe interested in purchasing it. They don't want to purchase it now because of the fact that we still have to get it cleaned up. So maybe the cleanest way would be to sell it to the village or the DDA, you know, and then we could turn around.
Let's go. Plan. Trying to say what here. You're good, Mike. Anybody have any comments for Twitter? This is Russia. All right. Get me.
Thank you for this meeting tonight. Sure, it's really informative.
That's what we're hoping for.
There's a lot of backtalk. People, but that's why I came that straight now. Thank you.
All right, does anybody else have any questions or comments? We'll move on to unfinished business. Wait, forward to doing that. It's long without you said. Yeah. Waste treatment plants start discharging. Monday, April 6th. So between that throughout the majority of the summer, as long as our numbers meet, we have water to discharge. And after that rain last night, we got a lot of water in the plant. We got lucky. I think everybody saw it already, but the left run did that on April 1st. When the frost finally was right up out of the ground, you don't come to do with it. If you remember a couple months ago, we hired Joel Denver. It's another startup that he beat up with. And we did a CBL training class, and that's last Thursday we finished the class, and so now he is licensed CLB. CBL is the one class, but in B class. Survived class almost didn't survive after when they went to Ernie's lunch afterwards. They were in the bathroom and the car ran through in the Arby's into the bathroom. But just like I said earlier, the storm cleanup is supposed to be finished. We're going to continue to collect the branches and debris that come across there. And we'll be doing that also as well as the norms we pick up, which will be starting up soon as the leaves are drying up. Where's the piles start showing up in the yard? Speaking of which, the compost site is open now, so that's
all dumpster today, so that makes everything done.
I've seen them big logs in the hole.
Well, we got chopped.
Well, this gets off. I just saw them missing. Sure. So before this was a couple months ago that I was working with people on a couple different grants. One of them, they approached us. I'm sure everybody's heard the word PFAS. It's a big buzzword now. And classes I attended in Congress were about PFAS also, and could go into that at a whole level. But Eagle is very interested in trying to find out in smaller communities, is there PFAS problems and what are their sources? So we were highly encouraged to apply for a grant. The maximum the grant would cover was 250. So we're going to ask for 250. We didn't get 250. We were awarded $150,000 grant. But then I got a call Thursday night from the Eagle that, hey, good news, I got you another 10,000. So the plan has been laid out. What we're going to start doing is this will cover all of the costs of starting at the lift stations to start doing sampling there for the PFAS. If it's found at one lift station, okay, now go back where the business is, what's going into that lift station. I don't think we're really going to find much of anything because we have to do PFAS testing periodically 3 times a year. But if Eagle is going to let us go and
go forward and pay for this. It would be one other nice thing, I think that'd be great community that we can say will be Osprey.
Right.
There is another, this one isn't a grant that, we're in the process of seeing if we can get. We've talked several times about the lead galvanized replacement service lines that has to be done. Eagle has changed the ruling on that, but it's done several times, partly because every time the EPA comes up with a new thing, the state of Michigan, for whatever reason, always decides, well, we're gonna do one better. We're gonna get a little bit hard. So they have now taken the vote for the replacement of those lead / galvanized service lines going into the homes, where, if you remember, we've been doing like 4 or 5 a year to keep up with them. They want to see you doing 5% of your inventory. Starting in 2027, you now have 10 years to get all of your lines replaced.
No,
And you have to do a minimum 10% a year. We currently have somewhere around 144 to 150 galvanized lines that we know of. We assume that they're galvanized lines, we haven't been able to get to see them. Their Eagle did have a program out that I applied for. It's not a grant. It's gonna be assisted funding. And we qualify at the medium level income level that we could get up to a 51% forgiveness on the grant. So I've been in the process of applying for it right now. There is a public meeting that we'll do today. There'll be a notice that will go out that will talk about it, and that there'll be more information on it. Again, this is one of those things where we may find out that we don't want to do it right now, but the estimated cost on it right now, I want to say it's over $1 million to replace these lines. So my thought is we go forward to look at what they've got for us out there, low income, low interest loan that can be paid off over time versus otherwise we're going to come up with $1 million to get things replaced within the next 10 years. I think we do a great job with the budget, but I think we've got that $100,000 a year. Yeah. So again, it's not something that we have to say that we're going to go forward and accept it, but we have to go through the steps to say yes, that we would approve the application for this. The last thing that I have for today is we talked about it several times, and Larry, Joel, and then I talked again last one. I'm trying to work on training for all of the guys, and also building the future of the DPW. Bringing the new guy in really kind of opens your eyes up to all the things that you're missing for what more needs you have. So I guess what I'm looking at right now, the original DPW, not original, but prior to 3 directors ago, was 6 people with the DPW. We are running at 5 right now, and Eagle really connects them both. They do a yearly water assessment, sewer assessment, and they haven't put anything down in writing yet. We've been told every time it's going to be involved with 2 of them. We are 3 people understaffed to each for sewer and for water. So we're being committed for license. Again, they haven't done anything to it right now, but it's able, they could change. And we also know that there's succession, they're going to change, people are going to retire. So tonight, I would like to ask the council's permission vote to the other gentleman we interviewed that was very interested in us, and we were very interested in him, Luke Gilbert. Again, we can get him hired now as an entry-level position that we get him trained, and in 3 years he has licensed, all his licenses, everything else, versus 3 years, 4 years from now, something happens, we don't have that person, And now we gotta pay an entry level position, but we've gotta pay. Okay, you've got all those certifications, this is what we're gonna pay you. I think it just benefits the village that we grow our team.
But does your current budget support that mechanism?
And what they made even more important really with these last couple, hopefully we don't have all these catastrophic storms anymore, but just today we had all hands on deck. We're trying to get the sewers up and running, and we got sheriff called us. You guys need to get out and close this road down. Get one road. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there.
I think if the original staffing had 6 people on it and nothing's been taken off your plate, and the budget covers it, I think it makes sense to add that.
There's money in there for overtime that we very, very rarely.
Would that come in that 6 person?
And that's the other thing too, is that I mentioned about Joel being the CDL. When all the people we interviewed, that was one of the requirements that you would be a CDL. No. So if we get another person, they get their CDL, maybe by the end of the summer, who knows how we work it out. Now we'll have 4 CDL drivers, snow removal, and we'll have another person who's trained on the sidewalk. So you're gonna have 2 snow removal crews. No, you're not gonna have, right now. Thanksgiving, we get a snowstorm, everybody's out. Christmas Eve, you get a snowstorm, everybody's out. Christmas Day, the snow's still coming down. We would be able to rotate these crews out and let people actually have some holiday time and.
Can we do this process? So we should have a motion.
Yeah, have a motion.
Yes.
Then like discussion. I mean,
There's a motion for the hire for Luke Gilbert. For the motion to approve the hiring of Luke Gilbert to the starting DPW position, $18 an hour full time. Right, can I get a second? Right, and a second. And any of the top, we got a second. Get back. It was.
My biggest question would be, are we required to repost? This to me would be a new position that is now being offered. Would we not have to follow protocol on posting it, taking applications?
Yeah, I'm not sure on that village level. I know at the township level, I was in the township. There is no requirement that you have to post for any job. I can't speak to a village. In a township, I think.
We post to the restaurant for one person, you got your person, now you can have your another person, and their applications can be used.
We can reapply, but we have there's a process that we following.
It's something that we need to table then.
Yeah, or actually
We can have hiring and move and just practice and this works.
So we can go there.
Tap them up.
Yeah. Good job.
Vacancy and post. Correct, yes.
Post it up with the utility. Check out.
Yeah, that's all. That's our hiring process, that's what we have. All right, who made the motion with that? No, Dana didn't. So we need to make your motion.
Checking to put one for DPW hiring a minor employee for.
You're seconding, okay, because we're can you do that, all right. This is, all right, roll call. This is.
Okay, Lovely,
Yes.
Fisher.
Yeah.
Schmeckel,
Yes.
Kegel,
Yes.
Edwards.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's, I think, everything, very, that you don't ever, another inch rain and later.
Oh,
Any question? Yes, any questions for Doug? That's not, well, but I just wondered how we're gonna, especially it's been a while, is there anything out there down? See this quite no, but even though the state's trying to go for a license, it's a couple of questions. Right, and just point in here. All right, the next thing we have on the agenda is a Redstone update with Amanda, Marie, and Edwards. Do we need, do we have anything else on that? We can. Move past this one. The next one, free grants. Right, so then they give Lake Street Eagle grant for development agreements.
So this was the project I've been updating on the past several months. We did get the grant award for $400,000 for the cleanup of that corner. So Eagle has done that. We have our kickoff meeting on that tomorrow. Part of that now we're formalizing the relationship between the village and the developer, this development agreement. So you have that in your packet. So we are looking for approval on that development agreement. Again, which is formalizing that portion of the relationship. The grant itself is run through the village to support it, but then for that property to be cleaned up. Please approve the $500,000 to $500,000, which was payment, what, like $4,200, something. For the village's kind of financial olive branch, so that had already happened to pay for Pablo Mavi to do the technical proposal portion. So that portion of the financial from the village is done and closed, and then the rest is coming from the developer.
I'd like to ask for a motion to think they support the human grant development agreement. State Lake Street awarded in the amount of $400,000 for remediation and redevelopment of Native Lake Street by the local developer Emily Barton. Make a motion, Dan. Okay, I was thinking a second. A second. Can I get a roll call, please? Oh, I'm sorry.
Give the timeline and try to get that going as soon as possible.
The waters, all the way back down.
County, I'm not thinking of it has the permits over that, it's on the highway road there, so. But yeah, that's how it would be coordinated for that, so.
I think. That's a get on the work there, while getting these grants.
Yes.
That grant.
Yeah.
So I'm not.
Another thing, going to these grants. Well, I remember Ron going to several months from that little gazebo down there in the hall of art. People have been just a little confused. Getting straight out, we could do this, we do it. Was the company and did it, that's yeah. So not.
Yeah.
No. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Official.
Yeah.
Feel.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the free grant, the making with.
Yeah. So more money, but more trees. We split as one of 13 communities across the state that received 20 trees for planting. So DTE funds it and then partners with an organization called Relief Michigan. And so they come out and they, on May 7th at 8:45 a.m. Reach out to me if you want to volunteer. We'd love to have you. We'll do a community planting event. So they like to do it educationally. So basically, they'll do a whole session before we go and actually plant the trees to teach you how to plant trees. So kind of be equipped with that knowledge and then get the hands-on experience doing that. Lasts around till noon. And we're going to be getting the new trees in the village cemetery. That's going to line the roads there on both sides. And Fran, where's that? What's the first side called? M18 side as well. So there's 12.
So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Fran, what are the?
Don't require leaves.
Yeah,
Just like very low.
that's exactly what one of Fran's requirements was. Plus the roots, you didn't want it to have expansive roots, especially yeah, first a tree forester. She was a forester. She was an arborist lady. She has a person up there. Design point. Sure. Best we have. They would come out with us and walked around the sites with us with Fran and the new forester at the conservation district. And we went and walked the sites. The other trees will be going at the Roscommon Community Park there alongside. There's a mix of like maple and red berry, if I'm not mistaken. There's the 7 of them going there. And then there's the one that got damaged, I believe, during Oktoberfest. I'm telling anybody what else. What happened? I don't know. And you have got little there. There's a little blue spruce there that got damaged. We're gonna replace that too. That's like in front of the train stations. That's the plan. Please come out. Love to have you. And be cool to get some new trees from the
I know. Thank you.
5.
Sorry.
W's support listening to that and just trying, they've been working lots of crazy hours with the winter we've had these storms and such, so we wanted to align it with their availability so that, we didn't ask them on a Friday, Saturday. We're willing, though, Douglas has been very accommodating.
That's not one of the insurance.
So anyway, it's an FYI. Also, I'll just speak real fast out of turn because I won't be able to stay for the entire thing. But thank you to everybody. The Stephen Fellowship's done next week. It's been an incredible 15 months to be able to serve the community. And I'm just feel really blessed to be a part of this community here and raise my family.
All right. Next one will be unique. We're going into residential 2 district.
You guys have been aware of this. This was posted for a while, and they did go into the planning commission on this one. That the section 4.8 of residential 2 district or 2 that a change that if the tables of permitted special uses under residential use. The planning commission would like to change the 2-family dwelling duplex to a permitted use, not as a special use. So the planning commission has approved that, and it just takes a vote from the village council to make that change in the village.
Can I get a motion? Make the motion. It's official. Anybody want to second that motion? All right. All right, any?
Once we're online, it's nothing's gonna change. It's just they don't have to do the procedure. But Americans. 2 well, so yeah, so there's something that we have.
Is there a reason that we didn't just do all R1, R2, R3 and across the board?
Yeah, there's steps that you have to take when you change word is, and I think it's the last, for me, I believe it was Tony mentioned about, have you considered that, well, for changing R1. But the planning commission didn't want to do like a knee jerk thing and include R1 without going through the village to make sure that before you pass something that's not going to create a problem or issue somewhere. So that's on their table as far as to look at R1 properties to see if we can have this blanket procedure for R1 and R2.
So they're kind of like a test thing.
Well, it makes sense, but they're going.
Has our big line be our to the turn, like a reference line.
Your two and R3 have been changed, correct? So like R1's the only one left, or is R3
Right.
not?
If this passes tonight, yes, you're right.
That's good.
Right. I don't think I have this. This is how much that's worth.
Yeah, much for that.
Thanks, sir. Yeah, this good. We did get the motion in 10 seconds. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yeah.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Pinto, Sturgill,
Yes.
Tebow,
Yes.
and Reeves.
Yeah.
All right. All right, now we're on to new business.
We have requests for a change of the motion. We need, there's something that's. Do you want to discuss this first and then the motion, or is that? Or this is where I'm to where you want to change that motion.
Yeah, we could, I mean, yeah, we don't need, unless there's anything else you want from me on that grant, it's just the same, all the same stuff from public hearing.
Any public hearing? All right, Chief, so, Mr. Chair is asking us to change your motion or add. A motion to approve the project to be applied for the Mishta CBD grant. CBB grant.
CDD.
CBB.
Cheaper, something in a CDBG grant.
We need a motion, yeah.
Make a motion to, vote for the Creekside Meadows, Michigan.
No, we're not on that one just yet. We're actually ready to go. We're making a motion to approve the
Mystery.
Wait, Mr.
Motion.
The different motion before we make that other motion. So this is a motion to approve the project to be applied for the Mista CBD grant. Okay. So I make a motion to approve the submission or changing her. To approve the project to be applied. This is what we already.
It's particular.
All right. We make a motion to approve the project to be applied. To apply for the Mista C. The G grant. All right, yeah, you're right, I can't be, you're right.
Did that sound right, ma'am?
Yeah. Approving the project to be applied for the CDBG. Yeah, the Creekside Meadows.
CDBG grant. Okay, there you go. Sorry, my goodness. We have a first and we have a second, any discussion?
So this, only second.
I did.
So this is, this motion that is on the table currently is to approve the site plan? Yeah. No, so
No,
approve what?
to be able to apply for, but the village can apply for this grant. Or this project.
Able to apply.
Yeah.
Council.
If this is the people and stuff, we can't apply, like, we can't apply without you guys saying.
This is number one. We have to vote on giving you the authority to submit for the grant.
Yes. The second one will say, Jason's the one that signs off on. The third one will say, we'll follow federal procurement policies. Yeah, in that order, then it's.
I had a lot of that in the ground. I just don't feel like. I just don't feel like we have discussed, we just got. I understand that it's just to apply for the grant. I just feel like there's a lot of unanswered questions regarding things that would be. specific to the grant, I'm not saying what it was. I just don't feel comfortable approving to apply for a grant that has a lot of unanswered questions at this time, for me anyway. That's, I'm just sharing my thoughts.
Harm in applying for the grant and then possibly having a special meeting or anything to help clarify anything? I mean, is there any harm, no harm, no foul in applying? And then let's say we have a special meeting and Jennifer's allowed, you know, to come up with any other questions that we may have. I think that's a good idea. I'd like to have some more clarification.
And then you got to get a list of questions too, because we did have, you know, but like whatever questions there are, yeah, I mean, we do clarify those so that they can get answered. Yeah, if I feel like they're very going to ask for these questions. I haven't seen in many, if there's some, I think if there's still specific ones, we should really address those.
If you're gonna have plenty of time to get those questions answered, even if they're approved the grant to me, correct?
Yeah, the application is like you submit the application, Michelle's gonna take their initial time. It could be, you know, 6 months, 2 to 3 months, maybe not 6 months, praying for 2 to 3 months. For them to comb through the application and everything, and so, you know, this is not immediate, and then what they would do is reach out, notification of award. And then at that point, you still have time to review before responding to the award and signing anything, so. Just, there's a lot of stuff, this is.
What, well, under H E, section P. Says provide for a minimum of 2 public hearings. Is that something that needed to be done before the application is submitted? And have we had 2? I know we have the one tonight. Have we had a second that satisfies that provide for a minimum of 2 public hearings?
So you're required to have one in advance of the application of this one, you're required to have the second before the closeout of the project. Minimum required. There's a lot of like things that they have to, but they do the closeout portion to make sure that all like the requirements, there's like more public comment if there's been any I guess like issues that were uncovered through the process, that there's like a complaint procedure that people can comment on, so that's where they have kind of bookended of like the community want comments and then people apply, and then before the closeout, what other things we maybe not heard yet. Before we approve to close out or before there's additional actions requested before closeout. That's what they have.
And then under the application supplement, under 4, it says the village plans to hire a third-party administrator to monitor the wage requirements, report into the village staff for submission of required reporting, and to offer guidance regarding grant compliance and requirements. Is that going to be something that the village has to pay for? I mean, I assume that a third-party administrator is going to cost us some money.
No, it's covered by the grants. The $270,000 that are set aside, that includes the cost to hire that administrator. That administrator again cannot be hired. No money can be spent until that meets the environmental clearance. And then part of like the next contracting processes include the search for that third party administrator, or bid process for that. There's you guys set the requirements of kind of what qualifications you want in that person, and then it goes through that bid process, and then that person is awarded, and then it's paid through by the grant. Based on the actual hours that they expect. It also covers village staff time spent on the project from that same fund. Sorry.
I will pay for that, those staff.
Yeah, all of them at $270,000.
So you guys create plans, you know, they're going to stay for what you want. Questions together, so computers next time, and not, but you don't look very much out, I mean, but you have questions on that. So, what you want, after you've heard all this from, so you don't say them things, so what's good.
Yeah.
And then you should have known all the people have more questions, but they have it together, so it's fine.
Well, plus it would give the,
Plus you would.
the public as well, chance to ask more. Right.
You can let them know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very much, yeah.
Yeah.
I did the tip too.
You guys, the Redstone people, I mean, you don't have to be here, but you can use them and answer more questions and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This potentially is the biggest thing that happened to this village
Oh, it is.
since I.
No development dollar amount was somewhere in the 43 to 45 million range,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'll say, Gary and I were talking about this, here a couple days ago. Redstone has about $80,000 already into this project.
Right. Yeah, I those up, right?
Anyway, right? Just, I mean, it's. Before anything is applied for. Obviously, we don't have a purchase agreement. But it's fully understood that there's currently no. There is no approved by contract currently between the village of Roscommon and Redstone. There's
Yeah.
non-existent contract at this time.
Right, yep, and that's actually for choice limiting action, since the time that we submitted our letter of intent. To get the designation memo that we currently have, it says visual reserve these funds if you apply for this. You cannot like enter into contracts like that. So we have this, the village is the applicant on this grant. And so, we have like the deeds to the property showing site ownership, and then the portion that proves Redstone's involvement at this point is not a formal contract, but shows like in the pro forma and the funding letter that they provided was showing that there's that relationship and in the narratives.
Sounds like some pretty good safeguards.
Yeah, Michigan approved that. It's qualifying.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Then
I would. A roll call, please.
Okay, Ludwig,
yes.
right,
Yes.
Fisher.
Yeah.
Schmeichel,
No,
Edwards,
Yes.
Keel.
Yes. Next. Then the next. Will be. Oh, wait, no, I'm
No, we're not.
The next motion we,
Like, I'm looking to adopt the authorizing resolution to proceed with the Mr. CDBG infrastructure grant application for phase 1 of the Creekside Meadow project.
I'll make a motion.
So I'm not reading.
Okay.
You were second, oh, yes. Right.
Here's some. Let's see, we take a look at that, authorizing resolution.
That's what we need to do.
We have it before. So then now we're in A1.
We don't want that, so.
I just see how I'm thinking that.
That's what it is.
That's what this was for, was before the A1, so it's like 8.5.
They just added all this. They just added, right? Start going through.
So we have,
That's the motion that that they listed and stated during that period. The authorizing resolution is next.
doesn't say right here.
So I understood, but they've added that.
Okay. Okay, have the move. So what do I want now?
So now we're at A1.
I don't,
You don't.
you know, slow down.
So the one we're going to, the notice to approve the project to be applied for,
Okay. So now.
now going into one. Let's see. Okay, you say, I think it was. Well, this is like before. That's the one that Mr. added to give. I just got it right at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay, we're doing A1. You can write A1, A2, whatever.
This is the one that. You want to remove it.
So I'll get a piece of paper. We got agree. Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
Second.
Oh, yeah, second. Okay, so. Maurice. Yeah, just.
It should be pretty much, this is just the next step in the application to authorizing the resolution to proceed.
Yep, and that's the document that you have in the packet. It says Jason will be the. Is it, approves the application, approves the financials, approves the environmental. Records.
All right, any discussion? All right. And we get a roll call, please.
Schmeichel,
Now,
Ready,
yes.
Bishop.
Yeah.
Edwards.
Yeah.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Keyhoe.
Yes. All right, and now with the A2. It's, can I get a motion to adopt the federal grant procurement policy to support the Litchfield PG infrastructure grant application for the Creekside Middle project.
I'll make the motion to accept that.
Gentleman first. Can I get a second? I'll second. All right. Second. Any discussion?
Just because I'm not familiar with these. Procurement, I can even say the word. Yeah. So this is saying that. This is saying that the village will follow all of these things. Is that correct? With using, like, how do we follow these things when Redstone is a developer? I'm not understanding like how that works.
Yeah, that's one third party purchase on this.
They will help monitor that for us they'll support that as like a capacity, and expertise on the grant. But always, and this is the same for like the Eagle requirements, for instance, like the village as the applicant. It always has the financial responsibility over the funds, which means that they need to oversee any partners that they have to ensure that those procedures are being followed. So the responsibility lies with the village in that. And then they, you leverage someone like a TPA that can help navigate those federal requirements and be doing monitoring and support with Redstone. There's also like, obviously continue to meet regularly with Redstone during the project.
You said a TPA.
Sorry, third party administrator. That's Christine Mary, that's like the CDBG.
Excuse me, we did that with Hiawatha, and it was just our company, and Chasky, they told us where to be, what to get done, how to do it, and how the credit plan. And told us everything was good, had to be approved by MEDC, thank you. Then Ron approved it as a village manager, signed off on it. We sent him the documentation that you guys approved during meeting, and then it was paid.
So, like, the contracting with small and minority businesses. The village shall take affirmative steps to utilize small minority-owned women and labor surplus area firms wherever possible. How do we implement that when Redstone has their, like, how do we say that to, is that like we say to Redstone, you have to use this?
You have to, they have to be in compliance with that federal guideline in their bidding processes as well.
So that's what the third party bid here, maybe is what they find those businesses.
Redstone take establish what the guidelines of, like, when you're going out to bid for this, that's one of the things that like you add on there. That, is a qualification that you look for. It's not like that's mandatory that you have to go with that, those businesses, but they need to be a consideration in the qualification of the bidding process.
That company has to take guidelines, federal approved guidelines, and they approve payroll for that company. When they did it, Chase, when you did Hiawatha, he had to report all of his wages, all of his payroll, and it went to them. They approved it per their guidelines, just like they have to be in town. For money.
Most businesses registered with the federal government.
Correct.
They minority owned, women owned, veteran owned.
I guess better known this night, but that's better known that. Any other questions or discussions on items? All right, I get a roll call, please. Well, that was correct. Just like to point out that this stuff is
over the head of the average person. Like government, young, time, all experience, she really picked up this stuff and she shouldn't be looked upon as bad troublemaking person. I know she is got some great question again. Well, there are people sometimes the way we that's what I like to say, people, but
What information is it?
so.
Deal.
Yeah, I wouldn't be.
Ready? Yep. Good words, yeah.
No.
Computer Tommy?
Thank you.
Invite you there or something.
Interesting, the solution, it's nice. It's. Ground, you know, sleeping in the car. It's.
Big ones. So, I basically just wanted this on the agenda so we could do it first. It's work coming now hiring between the village and Jason. And then to,
You just want to go over.
right, but like, now that it's signed, like, let's look at it.
Just a reminder, our ordinances say we can.
Yeah.
Left. So, right, or we can vote to continue that.
Oh, no, you can both go to the Jamal.
Or we can. Not send them.
File.
Anyway. And basically just to reiterate that we talked about at when we did the contract. The performance evaluations based on the start date. The week of May 4th, so it's ready for the May 12th meeting. I just feel like you stayed in the car on the calendar, so they're not getting this, so I think they're.
Did you make this motion?
Is this?
This is from, you'll make a motion.
Here, there's a motion to approve the village manager's contract.
Oh, like, we have to make the motion before.
I think we'd already voted.
Yeah. Thank you.
I just don't want.
I'll make a motion to approve the signed villager manager's contract as previously approved.
I was. I was curious. Over percent.
Basically, just wanted to go smart the calendar. So we're not missing them like we did previously, so the within 4 weeks, if we could set some kind of boot for the week of May 4th to do those performance evaluations, so they're ready for the May 12th council meeting.
This is a performance. Right, that's for next month, next month. Right, performance.
Yeah, so is, that's already. Yes, so, yes, the week of May 4th should be the performance goal, the number.
Performance goal.
Yeah, number 5 should be held the week of May 4th. So that we can then, everyone can discuss it or whatever at the May 12th meeting. And then, number 11, sometime in October, would meet 60 days before the annual anniversary and gives the 6 month, time to correct any identified performance issues. So actually.
6 months, we do a 6 month, right? 6 months, I think be 2 bucks 4. No, I'll give you that.
But yeah, so October would meet the 60-day requirement, the 60 days before the annual, and also give him the 6 months to do the. Yes. So I don't know if you want to.
So you have to do 30 days, no, it's not. What it says is that 60 days prior to the annual evaluation.
we will,
We will discuss and report out the accomplishments, right?
January,
It's 2 months before the annual, right? The third month, there is a source. There's a 2 months before the annual. There's a 6 month review. Yeah, there's a 6 month review, and then there's this was setting up review like a full annual.
University. Where's the 6 million?
Every 6 months. I know.
So that, yeah, we did it next time. Yeah. Review to, something that's, we're gonna see that 6, we're seeing the 2 months prior to the end, we evaluate.
Is it, yeah, so. Final written evaluation shall be completed and delivered to him within 30 days of the evaluation meeting. Of that meeting, in the event of an unsatisfactory evaluation, the village manager shall be given no less than 6 months to correct the identified performance evaluation by the village council. So that's.
60 days before the annual anniversary of the meeting. It's time, okay. Yeah. We're gonna run out of time, yeah, we gotta accept once.
And that's,
I know we've gotta get the 1 month in, we gotta get all the evaluations in.
And then I guess we can look at the
And
other.
we're gonna look at the other stuff.
So the week of May 4th.
So do we want to approve this, or we want to take? Well, let's approve. Let's approve.
This-
We have a motion.
A motion to approve
Or you
again.
have to wait right now for the entrance to get there. Someone.
Or we can send it off. And carry it on to another next.
You know, you guys.
We already approved to, we can't even, like, it's like a 1 month evaluation, we already have to do.
Yeah, but no, we don't really need to approve. You can rescind that motion. It
Yeah.
doesn't need to be
It doesn't need to be voted.
No. So that the contract is signed and approved. That's-
Right. Yeah, so let's look at the. So we can, it's in the second group, so it's,
Like.
Yeah.
So this, we just need to make sure that we have it on the calendar for next.
Yeah, this is just to discuss, to put it on, yeah.
Sorry, written that.
That's fine. Yeah, that, I think that was.
Now we have to wait for Cameron. Well,
No, you don't. know.
Which. The village manager. Transition agreement, this is between, Ron and the village, which we just, that excellent sign.
is there anything on here that, tonight that you can get for?
Well, as long as it's simple, we'll say it's a midnight. Not, okay. Why not? It's all I'm just gonna keep dogging.
Yeah.
It's pretty great to get it back tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, you did mention that we had to adjourn at 10, but like, are we breaking rules if we thought?
We
Like,
have breaking the ordinance.
how do we go off this to do it legally?
So, if y'all wanna stay, fine, y'all want to hear tomorrow.
we can wrap it up in the box.
Yeah, I would rather finish this.
Yeah.
Now,
I don't think we'll need it.
it's trying to share the vision, that's all that we want.
All right, so this is for the, village manager transition agreement. Ron and I, put a little motion or an agreement together for his transition. I can read it to everybody. Has it. This transition agreement is between two parties, the village of Roscommon and Ron Alden, consultant, as the other party. This agreement is being written to assist the new village manager in his transition to the new position. The agreement is not to exceed 40 hours per month. The consultant will be paid at the rate of $50 an hour with no benefits. Consulting hours to be documented and turned into the village hall by the end of each month for payment. This agreement can be terminated by either party when consulting services are no longer required.
So there's no effective and end date.
Correct. It allows the village to terminate. It allows the village to terminate or Ron himself. Correct.
Well,
As you're going.
Take care of it. I'll wait through.
I should have that.
All right, yeah. So we, yeah, we need to, what's the other one? Yeah, we need to vote. This.
We'll make a motion to accept the agreement between Ron Albert and.
All right, we have a motion, do we have a second?
So.
One second. Is there any discussion? Yes. I've worked with every village manager we've ever had. Okay, and I disagree with this. We've never had a manager, a previous manager, school with an incoming manager. And, the first three managers, believe it or not, were fired.
Or maybe.
That's why I said, I hired, I voted to hire, basically because he's a qualified person. And, like I just told Jason a while ago, I came here from Missouri to run the newspaper, hundreds of miles away. So I just came here and I survived. But, yeah, because this is to take place, it shouldn't have been anything. I would put that in the June meeting. The June meeting should be. That's how. Well, we have the concrete consequences of the top. That's not in. Well, let's put it in later. It's not. That's the point. Like I said, none of the other managers have ever had this. And, I understand where you come from, but we also didn't have this many big projects in this. Whereas, basically, we gotta have something. Something. I just don't believe it. And that's not my drive. So that's my big thing. Because, like I said, we're working well.
How? Go ahead. How would that work to end it then? Like, we have to put it back on the
I think
agenda
you
now?
put on the agenda, we can to Germany. Germany that night, yeah, wow.
Is, I agree. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have to have any support there just enough. I in the, I had the luxury, I guess, in the military, we did what we call left seat, right seat, right? The guy came in, the old guy was there. We did a battle handover, right? You transition, you've got a lot of irons in the fire. And so, I would have, at a significant disadvantage if all of a sudden we cut ties. And now I'm relying on what documentation did you leave behind? What information did you get? And secondhand information and that we have finances in the budget because his salary is no longer at that level. And I would support a 90-day plan. That's, that's 40 hours a month. Not being a green warrior, I'm just, that's how I see it. And other discussion never happens. I've got to be in trouble with, well, I can't been fight with. So, yeah, like we've had running bags of walk in and no idea what they're doing. Stone over to be able to get that to you.
That's. That's my opinion, object. Yeah, sure.
In order to be a running, it's possible, like right track, even we need to be moving forward. I understand that anything to fucking move forward, so you don't know where. What's the question? We're gonna need something. And I would support a night, especially moving in summer. I would support a 10-day of just July. May, June, July. So I was supporting a day to end it no later than July's. Well, that's only a month after what I. Yeah, right. I would give it, really give them 9 minutes to, and if sooner, right, if people that don't think we have, I don't think you do it, Smith wrong. No offense to Ron. They just want to give everybody a chance, just. So it's, motion one thing.
She's on the table and accept you, if you'd like to get rid of that motion and say so, or pick up another.
No, I don't want to
Get
get
rid
rid
of
of
that
that.
one, so we need.
You want to pick one down?
Well,
Well, that's not enough, let's,
Round
okay. You want to really want to.
no, I know, I'm sure.
Yes, okay. Well, then let's leave it like that, and let's just internally.
Yeah.
We'll monitor it after 60 days. Let's take a look at how they're doing. And then if we want, we could always go for the next month if we thought we needed to, but yeah, like you're saying, let's look at it at the second meeting, so we're in June. Yeah, let's see how things are going in June.
So we're gonna accept the motion.
So let's accept the motion as it
As
is.
it is, and,
Yeah.
thank
And then we can put it up for discussion for next week as well. We were just discussing. Just looks like they're all down. It's other businesses. They're going out. Who's there? Yeah. This is. Here, we're in now. I'll be on Dennis Road.
I love all of you. I don't plan on staying any longer than is necessary.
Like so. What were you doing? What happened is this? Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Lovely,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Schmeckel, no. Keel,
Yes.
Edwards, Ready.
Yes.
That's very,
Tom, you wait for me?
that's another director position with deviation, that's pretty cool, Brian. Don't understand. Am I on overtime? Yeah. Tom O'Brien, Chairman of the Downtown Development Authority. Course of the position for the Economic Development Director. We received one application. Committee members were familiar with Caitlin. They recommendation to the board here, to hire Caitlin Tyler for that position.
Wow.
But, well, it's about. Right, I'm thinking motion.
Yes.
So who's the hiring of the TDAs for TDAs recommended to.
Make a motion to hire Caitlin Tyler. Oh, whoops. DBA recommended candidate. And a part-time position at hourly, oh. Was it the half? No, that's supposed to be here. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Get that for. Yeah. No, you're in the first, with the rate, with the BDA and the board check. Right.
Part-time position at hourly rate.
Not a holiday.
Okay, with pay being split between the village and the DBA. We don't have to list an hourly rate.
It wasn't an hourly rate before.
It's a second.
You will get the salary. Yeah.
Do we need to name that salary in here? The portion that the village.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so what is that? What is the
160, the DBA.
all right, so I need to. I make a motion to approve hiring the DBA's recommended candidate, Caitlin Tyler, as a part-time position at
A monthly rate. Right.
a monthly rate of 30.
I said it was 60.
1,600 with pay being split between the village and the DBA.
No, this is this is 60.
Okay, so you just.
The DBA work out of the room. All right, correct. I got a motion for a second, please.
I'll second.
Okay. And any discussion?
We just read the motion back, just.
Yes.
Motion
Motion to approve hiring the DA's recommended candidate, Caitlin Tyler, as part-time position.
for the monthly rate.
With the month, yeah, with the salary. With a monthly rate. Well, previous. Economic director of $1,600 per month. For the village.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
No, I think.
One second.
Sorry.
We get that discussion. For the board. Any discussion? About that, we're having all this action. Okay, no, I said, no, you gotta clarify that.
It was communicated to me that the previous executive carry on was making 38,400. However, well, that was wrong.
Yeah, it was 32. I mean, well, with Peter Champion, you might see it.
It was just from Jim, had told me, so I don't. That's the only reason I bring it up, because it was.
So
match. 32, I'm sorry, I know I'm not supposed to be right now.
it's 38, it's comes to 38, if you take 3,200 times 12,
Yeah. It's.
3,200 a month, right? 1,600.
So 1,600 per or 16.
Right, so if you take $3,200 a month, comes out with 38. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, any other discussion? All right, can I get a roll call, please?
Right,
Yeah.
Blackwell,
Yeah.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Tito,
Yes.
Edwards.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Request from fireworks committee for donation.
Last year, you remember that the, Roscommon fireworks committee at the county for you asked for some assistance. Pay for the fireworks and everything that they're offering. Last year, the council gave them $2,000. And they are asking for a donation again this year.
I make a motion that we donate the same amount. Okay. I'll second it. Oh, now fireworks. That's it. They draw a lot of people. Any other discussion? I know this. I think I said it first. But then, so I got discussion first. Sorry, so yeah, absolutely. Right. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Can I do a roll call?
Edwards.
Yeah.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Shinto,
Yeah.
Tito,
Yes.
Amer. Yes.
The next one is the appointment to fill the village president's position. We. Do the procedure to that.
Yes, there's a procedure. Let's
No.
do the motion and then do the discussion.
Go ahead. Okay, we'll make the motion to appoint. To replace or fill a village president position. We're in a second. Motion to fill the village president position.
By law, you have. So you don't need a motion.
Oh, so you have the motion to appoint, motion to appoint, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is. That is the village, village lieutenant, and not necessarily. We wanted to take over the village president, whenever the village president resigns, or appoint, now we have to appoint the vacancy for one year.
The next month's meeting, you would have to appoint. Someone from the council has to step up and say, I'm gonna be the village manager. Furthermore.
Fill the president. Good times out.
Do follow our procedure for appointments to boards and commissions.
Yes, this is right out of MCL, where a village president, when you're filling up the village president position. The state law says that it has to be, you were accepted the resignation immediately on receipt. Like
Right.
and then you have, before the next meeting, you would have to appoint a new person from the council. You're gonna have to appoint somebody to fill that position from the council, but you don't have to do that. You got 4 or 5 to do that one.
Okay, so, so I was understanding like MCL, like, like state level has their rules and then local level can do stricter, they can't do less, yeah. And so I guess I was assuming that MCL has their procedure But Roscommon, like the village of Roscommon has this procedure that is more strict. That's not the case for this.
So.
Our finance within commission.
You have village or the village president.
That's. Well, I would, I guess, like, that's how I got on council, that.
You're not the president.
Right,
You're council.
so that's, so I guess, so it's different. Right, yeah.
Council can operate.
Right.
But if somebody resigned as a council member, you can still operate. Go to, if you went 3-4 months, that's supposed to, but you can't, because you still have a quorum. You can't operate without a village president.
Okay, so that's where,
Or should be.
Right, because it's not even all the paperwork.
all right, that's where I was thinking of, like, this is how, like, some.
What keeps them responsible in front of the separate entity, so to be. Then you're through your term with that form. And the two, it's actually, every group will have it's the remainder of lunch term.
Whoever gets appointed into this position, your term ends this November. So you will lose your council position and be the village president, which ends November.
Okay.
And you have time to apply still through the county.
Right, you can still apply, like be on the, like go on the deck now. Well, that's the president. Or, this. I'm gonna so.
And then, so we appoint somebody to move into the president position. And then do we fill that empty seat?
Yes. I'm gonna go ahead and see, that's already follow the procedure you're talking about.
Okay.
Until that empties. Yep. Deputy seat.
Okay.
Do you have anybody that's expressed interest? To take applications or?
Write a letter and check, this will have to go over the, for the new city appointment, you know, have to go to the paper.
Yeah.
For 2 weeks, and then whoever applies just shows letter of intent. And then you guys can all vote on that, just right.
See if Peter and relevant question, but who is up for election at this November?
McGann. Again, you're part of this November, it's like the city, November, you are, and I'm thinking. People aware.
Call them Mikey.
Would it be beneficial to, because they have to go through the process anyway, would it be beneficial to choose out of one of these three?
I've already been going through them for years.
So then they take their time for like, and for generations, so that they're why do it not.
Because so it is it knowledge and sense for one of the three that has to go through the re-election process anyway, to take that position. So then.
They would be obligated to apply for the village president position, they wouldn't be able to apply for a. They wouldn't be able to be on the ballot for a council member position.
They wouldn't.
So. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Once you take the village president.
that's up for election.
Yes. Yeah. Terminates all ours.
Like, eliminate an extra person having to go through that again. I don't know if it makes sense.
To do it.
I guess we should put there.
That's an important.
But I guess you want it, because you can do a really good job. Curiosity. Yes, you know. I agree.
I recommend that.
The only thing you have, I'm just playing devil's advocate, and if you do that, then you apply and have the potential, yeah, like you'd have to.
It doesn't make the election. Yeah.
Yeah, and then if you don't, like, then.
No, you just don't like to find a seat.
Whoever becomes the village president, that position becomes vacated, and you interview and you bring on a replacement for that. Yes. So if he loses in the election, then
Then he's.
he's stopped.
Yeah.
Or if he comes, then he's not a job.
It's like, that's something different.
That's, yeah, I've heard that. I would still have 2 years left on council
If you say.
if I stayed on.
It looks like they're.
Submitting my resignation before August.
Right, I know, but nobody else. I mean, that's. Kind of normal.
I mean, I guess. I don't know.
I put a lot of thought into this.
That's right.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
I know, here's the. But I leave the house anyway, then, I said, fill your hand, put some, let's see. You can't drop. I bought it for $2. If it doesn't, well, they don't think they grant it. Doesn't make sense for me to do it because if I go August, September, October, November, you're gonna have to put somebody in that seat again.
Yeah.
And I'm off, so, yeah. Not put my name in that one, so I'm done dealing with it.
It's for Brian to, step into the.
And I'll second that.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You will call. Yeah.
The motion that you have right now, you're gonna do shop brand. With the village president, which is viable.
Okay.
With the term expiring in November 2020.
With the term expiring November 2026. So the way it's written. Oh, is that the way you want to see that way? Okay. That's the way it works.
He's never done anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, the motion is written that way. Okay. All right. So we have a bit of discussion.
People supporting would be appreciated.
Take one for the team.
We gotta replace Brian now.
Yeah, that's the next, so. All right, so if you get a, we'll run the ad for the ad now.
That's that,
Council.
it's the next thing.
Next week, we did roll call. We'll get that.
Ryan,
Yes.
Edwards.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes.
You don't think you will, Ryan.
So.
Tebow. And special.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't, you go, if you got that motion to publish the open council, we have to wait all of the motion.
Yeah, you're going to do this.
I took any money, so we have to just. It doesn't matter, just spend money you got. It's really in my word, I just gave them some cover, yeah, all right, so. Mr. Walker, I would like to make a motion to publish the open council seat position. Being yours, to the public for 2 weeks. Second. Any discussion? Okay, then.
Michael.
Yeah.
Robbie.
Yes.
Bishop. Edwards.
Yeah.
Ludwig.
Yeah.
Beal.
Yes. Okay, so if we can't do anything on anything on the it's not a voted, it's not. So we have it here, I'd like to put it on the agenda for next month. So, and that's.
What, it's under new business, why can't we make a motion?
Oh, I guess we
It's me.
can. Yeah. But. Yeah, I see, this had nothing to do with Redstone, I brought this up about the industrial park. Before Redstone even came on the horizon, because like here was. These companies that one up here, going up to Pioneer Hill, there's an unbelievable big. When they can take our industrial park, they go in there and buy that land and. And we can't afford to lose that industrial park to, something that isn't providing jobs. That was my feeling. I was going around town and they're all over this town and we just don't realize. And it's amazing, little here and there. And this wouldn't shut them down, it would just prevent more from coming in. But this is gonna all be up to the planning commission.
You know, it's a temporary thing, it's nothing, you know, it's not like it's permanent, it's just gonna buy some time till the planning commission has a chance to do something. What? Or the attorney, yeah.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's a temporary, how long was it temporary?
Well, until,
Till the planning commission.
Yeah, it basically gives planning commission the time to review the planning commission returning. Zoning or like time to review and come up with, there's not like a set time, it's just gives them time
I,
before anything else is approved. Regarding storage.
I, got this from Roscommon Township. And originally there said they had one storage barn for every 2 people. And they passed a moratorium last summer, that's where it came, and now Mark, I think, has done it too. But I went over and visited with Roscommon Township a couple of weeks back, that's where I got all this information, and I just tried to putting more information in. But, they told me, I didn't know what that was, and they told me that, there has to be one zone, there has to be some place where you can put your storage units. So, you know, it doesn't have to be full office space, but we have to have some place in town that's zoned. That would include that, but it would be excluded from other places like our industrial park. That was my intention. And if you go out Stepford Bridge Road, or not Stepford, Stefan Bridge Road, I went out there to visit the Gardies one day. I mean, these things are popping up in the woods. And so I went out there to visit Don Gardy. He worked here, he's 94 now, he worked over here at the bank. And he fixed his bicycle, so I took my bike out there to have some work done. And I said, what's that big building over there? And they said, these people, they're renting the river, these people put up a spring storage barn. And they come up here and they live in a camper. Yes. For storage units and things. Yeah. And it's just temporary, and maybe the planning commission, maybe they won't do anything, but they're meeting. And I understand that this is one of the things they're gonna take out of their meeting at this point. So, like I said, this is a temporary thing.
We don't have a motion on the table.
No, I just started discussing it, explaining. I didn't think we were gonna.
You know, we don't have to have a lot of discussion with you, but you know, anyway. We'll look at it.
Can I make a motion to accept the moratorium storage unit on storage unit buildings as presented?
Right, we have a first, we have a second, I'll second. All right, do we have any other discussion? Will this impact the Redstone project? I mean, obviously.
Oh, no, because it's part
And it's
of,
already been.
they've got.
It's already approved, so it's already, this is like bringing those years in.
Yes,
It's part of their sleep development, I mean, it's part of the housing, so it's already. We can do our.
This is just a temporary thing.
Thanks.
Okay, the planning commission attorney look at it. Who don't totally change.
Yeah.
So
So it's one of the
where the thing. So it's already just a temporary.
Planning commission already told your site. So you can't go back now and change. No, we're not changing chance to.
This is an anything that.
Yeah.
Someone got. Someone got. What, be some town, go take a house, instead of, storage.
It's basically protecting us from, if someone walks in to the planning commission tomorrow and says, "Hey, we want to build," like, "Oh, we, not right now, we've got this in place so we can view our zoning ordinances, make any changes that we want to, we might not, but at least this gives us time to get some kind of wording in there about storage units. But anything that's already been approved is approved.
Okay. Yeah, it's not gonna, just gonna stop. Doing some information on our. Right. Well, I said, there's between Scots and.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a, thank, you have any other discussion?
You got a first and a second, so we're gonna have a stupid. All right. And that's I. Yeah, this is against, but can I get a? All day, there you go. Thank you. No.
Not saying no vote. Any opposed? No. Yeah, really. Yeah, no, you just have to say that. And you don't look like that, all right? Then that's all right. Hey. Any discussion items? Any? Discussion item, we're taking another vote. Quick acknowledgements, 2 minutes per speaker. The other just some people left. You're going for it. There's a flyer out there that talks about the village cleanup. Maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I believe the village, at least they sponsor, just to make sure everybody's got that on the calendar. Sure, I got 2 ton of trash, I just loaded into my backyard from the flood. Thank you. Oh,
My younger birthday.
Just. Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, I want to say Doug, nice job stepping in, and filling in interim position. I will say that so far, spending time with Jason, the questions that he's asking are very appropriate. I think we're gonna be very pleased with his performance. Once he gets a big group the. It was nice to see tonight that people were willing to come to a meeting and ask questions and not get their information off on Facebook. The information, and I'm not a Facebook person, I don't have an account, but I've been shown some of the stuff that not all that information is accurate. So good job to the public for coming in and asking questions, voicing their concerns and whatnot. The last thing, Amanda, she's down to her final days. And as you can see tonight, this lady understands grant language inside and out.
yes.
There's no one in this area that has her comprehension of what needs to happen and such. We can't let her go. Now, what I'm suggesting is that I think the council needs to approach her and maybe, until this redstone thing is figured out or not, but until then to possibly keep her in your back pocket as far as to help share the information because she understands grant language, like I said, she understands what's next, she understands the protocol and who to get information from. It would be terrible, not only for the village, but also for Redstone to lose all that right now. So I think if someone would reach out to her, I think it would be a smart move on the villages.
Like
Okay.
contractor?
She would.
Really, you can do what you do, just do per hour thing, but just to lose that knowledge right now,
We're playing through tonight and she knew more than that Redstone man.
without a doubt, the means that I sit and Redstone relies on Amanda, very,
When I went to the meeting in her last Tuesday, she was doing the same thing. She was talking to him on the computer, the Zoom. And she was telling them things, and I went, oh my God.
Does the 3rd-party administrator have to be certified?
you want,
It's a 3rd-party administrator? Yeah, no.
but it's something, before, here, I know she's had a couple job offers and I think we're going to get on her raises.
It's strong shadows.
Grant experience practice with that. However, not I. So I actually have the same question written down as comments that Ron made. I asked, what Amanda needs from me? She's the knowledge base for Redstone. She's the knowledge base for a law. might. People that have. An extra. Yeah. And they'll think are. Handled or. Because again, this is another position where. If all that you guys are relying on is secondhand information and the documents left behind. Things might fall through the cracks, but. Could be detrimental.
You go through the two, and then one manager or one next. You go through.
Tomorrow. Let's call or something.
I have one other thing. I hope that when these questions come up, for every someone writing them down, so that they can be continued down to their turn. With my only other thing, because there's going to be a few legal questions that I've had. That you're looking, people are keeping them great or writing them down, which guys probably. When you're going to approach the project. And all of the legal work. You so much for this. Just wanted to done it. It was very informative.
Thanks for saying.
I was gonna suggest something very similar because, in conversations that Amanda and I have had, she said, well, I love you, and I'm like, yeah, but you shouldn't have to do that for free. She does want to start or go on to do her own brand new business and do that kind of work with people as a contractor. So I think it would be great for us to approach her in that manner and 1099 her in some capacity. And maybe similar to how I'm shared between the EDA and the village, that both entities share the cost of that, but that if their contract for the as needed basis, so that she would be a consultant.
Yeah, I heard the last, I mean. And that was what they said, like you. I thank you for stepping up. In the presidency, I hope that you can make out in November and beyond. Doug also echo Ron, appreciate the it's not just as interim manager, but also as he really made a rock solid function in this village. That definitely not on the list.
Thank you, but it's, I've got good people.
Jason, good luck.
Showing up tomorrow.
This is probably understanding the right guy. John. And one of the things I found is that we would ask a whole group of people to do something that nobody will stop up. So I would hope that tomorrow morning, task as a board, you task Jason and a mentor. John reaching out to Amanda because I mean I can't say anything more. I watched this lady produce and write millions of dollars worth of grants, whatever she says this. To be a contractor, it'll work. Trust me, whatever you pay her will bring dividends several times over. And congratulations to Caitlin, of my research. She's doing a great job on business relationship from the village. And lastly, 7 years in my house, nobody's village manager. And to be able to make it that long and not get fired, with the village, we only had village managers in 6 months and gone, and then another 6 months and gone. And finally, he served us, in the council history was 6 or 7 managers in that case. Actually, that's literally what we had in 7 years' time. So I brought a lot of stability to the village, and we've seen a lot of the village as far as most people are telling me, and knowing you guys here too, that the village hasn't been better in a long time. So thank you. even though there were some comments on both sides of this discussion, it was great. It was, very tough, very good. Yes, but we're working on it.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
No, I just want to tell Jason,
Hold on, hold on.
this is the, hope the next meeting's tougher. This was such an easy meeting.
Well, we're moving on to council comments.
Yeah. Let's see, I'd like to go first on this one. I think those guys, comments, Ron, you've done a great thing for the village in the past several years. I want to thank you for that, and I hope that we can do you justice moving forward in the village. So, thank you for that. Thank you for the council for, obviously, for things relating. And we get the job done, and I appreciate the village showing up and getting information directly from where they should be getting information from. So thank you very much and welcome, Caitlin. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And well done for your new three things. Thanks. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Jennifer?
Welcome, Jason. Welcome, Caitlin.
And yes, welcome, Jason. You there?
Great. Looking forward to having you guys on board, hoping to see that you both function with integrity and, I'm happy to have you guys here. I'm happy that we were able to hold this public meeting for, the public, the residents to get the information that they were seeking. And I think that's it.
Well, I just say, don't forget, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, and,
Welcome. Thanks to everybody for staying and for coming. Yeah.
Say, echo everything here and, just a reminder, Amanda would be phenomenal.
Yes.
That's, absolutely.
Any motion to, any other items? Anything? I'm sorry, any other words for next meeting?
This the review.
Review. That's for the, well, there's things like for the back, measurements. That ought to be done.
The planning commission, give us our agenda, somehow we get it in force and we know what's on the agenda, we get their minutes. So,
Or beforehand.
That brings up, I had asked if, Dana could start giving a planning commission during our council meetings, could
Right.
start happening.
Yeah, we can do that, absolutely. It's gonna have.
Right.
We're gonna be borrowing this.
Yeah.
I got one other item. You know how we do on our agenda, and I talked to the girls this morning, when I was here, what's our, Miss Moore, our commissioner's name? Mark,
Yeah.
yeah. You know how she usually speaks during that 2-minute time, and if we ever hold a meeting and we hold people to the 2 minutes, I think we should put it on the agenda, just like we would the sheriff's report, and it says county commissioner's report. That way, if we hold everybody else to 2 minutes, we need to hold her to 2 minutes. And sometimes she has stuff, so maybe we just put a line item on the agenda that stays on there. County commissioners, whatever. And it's sure you want to just go past. But that way she has a spot on the agenda in case her briefing is more than 2 minutes. Does that sound to you?
You're saying you don't do it.
I'm saying, I'm right, that way, the agenda, then she's allowed to speak more than 2 minutes. Because a lot of times her stuff goes on, right? I mean, she doesn't have a lot of information.
If she just went county commissioner, that doesn't matter. She gets it. Somebody else.
Doesn't matter if she talks 2 minutes or she may not even show up, right, like today.
Yeah.
But at least it's on the agenda and you can afford her more than 2 minutes.
Right. Okay.
Rather than cutting her off.
Good.
Lots of she's good stuff.
That's gonna give you the
Two adjourned. We should do it.
Yeah. And the second. Second. Adjourned at 10:38. Thanks a lot. Now, speaking of that, is there a moment I don't
It's still on days and stuff. I'm doing. No, it's, yeah, it's really, it's different. Sure.
Thanks for coming.
You know, yes.
You got that. How's it going?
Yeah, every person.
Right. So sometimes just a hate for it. Oh, crap. This is she might don't worry. And once you say you'll hear so long. It's tired. First.
Thank you so much, Troy.
No problem. I enjoyed it.
So,
Yeah.